Hello and welcome to another episode of Football Talk Podcast. My name is Ozzie and I'm joined by a very special guest, my good friend Daniel from D&D Factory. Daniel, how's it going, bro?
Far from special. No, I'm good, bro. How are you?
All good, man. It's been a pleasure because I've been trying to get you on for a while, man. So I'm glad we finally got to do a collab and then talk about football, man. So
yeah, I'm here, man. That's Sid's fault. Or Godfrey, as I called him. You should have hooked this up ages ago.
I know.
But we're here. We're here.
We're here. A new season is upon us, so let's crack on. So we'll review each team and sort of analyze what they've done in the summer, what the expectations are at the club, and we'll give our sort of prediction of where they'll finish. So we'll start with Arsenal. So Arsenal.
We had alphabetical order, yeah? Okay. All right.
So, so Arsenal finished 8th with 61 points last year. So what do you make of their new signings? So they've signed a few players. They've signed a left back in Tavares, Ben White, big fee, 50 million there. And you've got Lokonga as well, sort of an unknown sort of prospect from Belgium. So far, what do you think of their business?
Well, they're far from finished. Their business. It looks like they might actually. I thought it was a joke when I first heard it about a month ago, but it looks like they are actually going to pull the plug and go for Aaron Ramsdale, which has surprised me because he's nowhere near Leno's level. But let Martinez go, who I'm very high on, and obviously Arsenal's best results came when Martinez was their goalkeeper. So that's a strange one. You sell him to go and get a keeper inferior than both the ones that you had. But Arsenal's business is all right. But to be honest, they will be thinking that they can challenge for the European places quite strongly, because though they finished 8th twice, they had Europa League in both those seasons.
Yeah.
Because of those 8 goals Tottenham scored, they are not in Europe for the first time since the 95-96 season, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah.
So with not having to play those games on Sundays or Mondays anymore, no Europe, if they can stay injury-free, they'll be expected to have a good season. They've done some decent business. They're not finished. They're not finished yet. I think there might be 1 or 2 sales. There's been talk of Lacazette possibly moving on. I'm sure Nketiah will get moved on. It looks like Xhaka will stay now. So I think they're far from doing their business. But they look okay. They finished last season really, really well. But they started the season poorly before those home defeats. So if they can just, because they need to score more.
Yeah,
I banned the defence all day, but that's because I know a lot of Arsenal fans that were always at loggerheads. But they only actually conceded the first. They had the 3rd best defence statistically in the league last season. So clearly, it's scoring goals, which is the problem. Because when they had Wenger, they used to score freely, regardless of the results they were getting. But now the style of play Emery had first, and now the style of play that Arteta's got is more reserved. It's they're trying to be intelligent in terms of when they manoeuvre on the pitch. He's not got the clientele just yet to deliver it to its zenith, but it's a working process, and the board expect that, and that's why he's still at the helm, because otherwise they would have pulled the plug on him, because there's been some good managers out there. A lot of them taken now during his tenure. So that FA Cup win paid for some cracks, but we'll see what they can do. Their fans might quietly be optimistic.
I think there's a lot of pressure on Arteta this season, to be fair. Considering how many players they've loaned out as well, or they've kind of got rid of. So Saliba was one of their top signings last summer. So they were expected to.
Honestly, I don't get it. When I saw him at St Etienne, strong, clean tackler, and he's just not giving him a chance.
No.
I know there was apparently some issues because his mum had passed a few months before he joined the club or whatever. That was last season. Now he went on loan to Nice. I thought now he's back to give him a go, but they loaned him again to Marseille, I believe it is. So I don't know.
Marseille, yeah. I think there's an agenda there. I don't know. It might be like a personal thing because he seems to fall out with a lot of players as well. So last year, David Luiz was one of the players he fell out with. And there's been a few others as well. And David Luiz actually left the club now. So for me, I think Saliba is a strange one. I think they should have brought him back because, they spent 25, 30 million on him. And he was sort of like touted as the next big thing from France, especially playing alongside Fofana. So that's a strange one. And even Guendouzi as well. So I know Guendouzi had that issue, I think it was a couple of seasons ago, where he had that sort of like little spat with, what's his name, Morpay on the pitch. So people thought that, he's too temperamental. But at the end of the day, he's a young player. So it's the coach's job to kind of tame that down in terms of his game and try and use that aggression on the field rather than it being a thing where you sideline him and say, you know what, you're not good enough or you're too aggressive, like you're out of the team. So Arteta, for me, man management skill, I don't think is top of his range, if I'm honest with you. Key players for this Arsenal team. I think Ben White, because he's such a big signing, you have to say that's going to be one of the key players in the team.
And if White's versatile, so he can set off, obviously, his natural position, but he can. Last season, he played at right back for Brighton and played centre mid. And obviously, the season before, obviously, with him being at Leeds, Bielsa likes to shuffle his pack. So he's going to be an important player wherever he plays for them,
What about Xhaka? Were you surprised that he signed a new contract?
I was surprised. I thought that was a lock-in for him to go to Roma. So so that surprised me a bit. But we'll see what he can do. He had a good Euros. Probably the him and Pogba were easily head and shoulders above everyone else when Switzerland knocked France out. So we'll see whether it can be. If he's rejuvenated at club level, because he doesn't. He plays good for Switzerland most of the time anyway. But he's going to be an important player because a lot of Arsenal fans get onto him, but when he doesn't play, you see what he brings because though it's not always necessarily a long pass or the most progressive pass, he keeps the possession ticking over and he's stagnant when he's not there. So whether they like it or not, he's an important player for them.
Yeah. I think Smith Rowe, what do you think of him getting the number 10 jersey?
That's a big move. Obviously, with the fact they've not brought Odegaard in, so therefore, so there's going to be a lot. He's still a teenager, but he's still young, but there's going to be a lot of reliance on it. He's 20 now, but there's going to be a lot of reliance on him. But he's a good player.
Yeah.
Quite De Bruyne, as they call him.
Yeah, exactly. I think he's going to flourish this season, given that more responsibility. Because last season was more of his breakthrough season, so I think we'll see a lot more of him. Similar to Saka as well. So Saka was pretty much the main guy at Arsenal. So I think alongside Smith Rowe, that'll be the case this season as well. Big season for Aubameyang because he was written off by a lot of Arsenal fans last year, saying that he wasn't as clinical as he normally is, but he still managed to get double figures in terms of goals. Obviously, he had personal issues off the field and all that sort of stuff. So I still think he's a big player for them. What do you think?
He's been, since he's come, bar last season, he's been in the golden boot. Yeah. Running. So like his style or not, bar last season he gets to go. So you said he got to double figures. I think was it Newcastle? There was a hat-trick in there that helped him squeeze into double figures. Because if you watched him over the season, you wouldn't have thought that he did that in regards to, because he doesn't, when he's not scoring, doesn't really seem to affect the game. When he was playing as an inside forward at Dortmund and scoring freely, that was because that interchangeable front three, Mkhitaryan was getting a bag of assists and Royce's movement. He's such a clever player, and I don't think they've really got someone whose movement is as good as that. In regards to linking play up, and Nketiah's got good movement and can finish, but there's not much else to his game. Royce can pass it and move, and I think he's missed that. But in saying that, the amount of goals that he scored shows how good he is. But unless he can start to affect the game more, you can see when other people have been preferred to him. They're interested in Tammy Abraham. Abraham, another one, can not the greatest at linking up play, but can link play. But he could be a fox in the box centrally. So him and the Aubameyang together might help because with the pace of Aubameyang has to open up space and whatnot. So we'll see. But I think Arsenal's business is far from done. But I think they could do. They might be able to do something.
No, I agree with you there. In terms of the club expectations, what do you think the fans are expecting for this year? Do you think they'll be challenging for Europa, or would it be similar where they've probably just about missed out?
Yeah, they'll be challenging for Europa.
Okay.
They'll be challenging for Europa. No Europe, more recovery time means he doesn't necessarily have to rotate the pieces. So if you could go what he views as full strength, literally every single game, we're going to find a lot out about them. Because if you still can't get the results now, when you've not got the Thursday night games, then a lot of questions have to be asked, and his job could be on the line before Christmas.
Definitely, I agree with that. So prediction. So we can just do a little thing here. So if I was to put you on the spot now, and asked you, where do you think Arsenal will finish? What would the position be?
You know what? You know I don't like doing the predictions thing, but
as it stands, because obviously a lot of teams haven't done any transfers. So now, where do you see them finishing?
If you were to get me back on after the windows close, some positions might change. But at the moment, I've got Arsenal 7th.
Okay.
This depends a lot on whether or not, as we'll get to them later on, whether or not Tottenham keep Harry Kane or not. I've got Arsenal 7th right now.
I've got them 6th. So
okay.
So we're kind of close there in regards to that.
Which is where if Kane had gone, which is where I would have had them. If Kane had gone, I would have had them 6th.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll speak about Spurs in more detail as well. So on to the next team, Aston Villa. So team that finished 11th last season, 55 points. Done a lot of business. Obviously, they sold their former talisman, Jack Grealish there. But
they were trying to get the aforementioned Smith Rowe, weren't they?
Yeah, they were, exactly. But I've been impressed with their signings, to be fair. So Buendia, even when he played for Norwich in the Premier League, I was really impressed with the way he played. Mm-hmm. Leon Bailey, for me, has been that player where he's done well in the Bundesliga, but needed to move to a major league to kind of show his talent a bit more, because there's still uncertainty in terms of can he do at the highest level. But whenever I've seen him play, he looks quality.
The thing with Bailey, though, Ozzie, is that he's one of those players where he could not be doing much in a game, but then he can make something happen in the click of a snap. He's got that snapshot off of his left or his right foot. Yeah, it's rapid. He can cut in. So it's, as you're saying, this level now, we'll see how good he is, because he's slightly faster as well. So than Bundesliga. So we're going to see whether or not he can drop into pockets and do what he was doing, because as good as he is, I think there's still some serious question marks on him. Yeah. But he could, if he hits it running, he can get double figures. He can get double figures for them, but I'm not even messing about. If he's going to be the regular starter there, which he should be, I think he could hit 10.
Yeah, I definitely think he'll be like the wild card in that team there. Ings, that was a surprise signing, because I think there was no stories linked to him, and boom, all of a sudden, Aston Villa player.
Where did that come from?
Literally out the hat.
Where did this Danny Ings signing come? There was usually when someone's going to buy a player, like we got Fabinho really quietly
in that same fashion as well,
right? But usually when you buy a player, there's some form of something's going to be a bid accepted and whatnot. I just opened up Twitter after not going on there for a bit, and then it said someone I do the show with, Goliath, DJ Goliath, his brother was on Twitter and said something about, that's what you call moving in silence. And then I looked, because it was a quoted tweet, and it said Villa have signed Danny Ings. So I thought, okay, it's one of those accounts that you get me, that that basically cloned something, and then they've got a different app. I opened up and it's Villa's official site, and I went, what? And then about 15 minutes later, I come up on Sky Sports News. So I thought, where the hell did this come from? I thought the whole Ings was saying he didn't want to sign a new contract at Southampton was because he wanted to
take Champions League football, right?
In the Champions League, because obviously they'd been talking of Man City, there'd been a small talk of maybe Liverpool going back in for him, which I wouldn't have minded, because I think the way that he presses and his industry, I think he's perfectly suited to a Klopp system. But obviously, so many injuries that he had at Liverpool, it wasn't able to happen. But that's a really good buy, because they overplayed Ollie Watkins last season. So now that gives them the opportunity to rest him, or they can go with two. And both of them have got great movement, and they're industrious, both of them. So because Watkins made a lot of space for others with his runs across the forward line, go left, go right, etc. So this could work wonderfully, because there's firepower there.
Plenty of it as well, because they're both quite similar, actually. They both play on the shoulder as well.
Yeah.
Great pace to burn, to be fair, and they're very clinical, both of them. And Watkins, first season in the Premier League, and showed great signs of being a top player. So they're an exciting prospect.
Because remember, after he got 2 against Arsenal, he scored 1 against, was it Southampton? I can't remember. Yeah, they lost 4-3 to Southampton. I can't remember if he scored a penalty or what in that game, but that one goal was like the only goal we scored in like 10, 11 matches.
Yeah.
And he got back on it. So now if they were to start season with him, they can easily take him out and put Ings in. But obviously, as I said, there's the option to go with 2. And Wesley's still there as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know what's going to happen with Keenan Davis, but there's options there up top for them.
No, definitely. What do you think are the expectations at the club? Because obviously the fans are probably jubilant in terms of signing so many players. Obviously they've lost Jack Grealish, but I think they've recruited well to replace him in certain aspects.
They were prepared for it though, weren't they? They were prepared for it. With the signings that they were making, they were prepared for that bid to come in. And obviously the good thing they did, some people didn't like it, but I thought it was a good thing that Christian Perslow came on and pointed out that there was a 100 million release clause. City have matched it. Grealish said he only wants to leave if he's to test himself in the Champions League, because that's the level that he wants to play at. And so they were making the purchase already. Bundia was tied up real quickly, so they had some bids rebuffed for Emil Smith Rowe, but they're doing their thing. They're doing their thing, man.
Do you think they'll challenge for Europa League spots?
Definitely. I think they definitely, because there's goals there. And they've got good solid fullbacks in Matty Cash and Matt Target.
Yeah.
Konsa, I thought, was better than Mings last season.
Top player.
And so and Emi Martinez, they still concede a lot of shots at goal, but Martinez makes some really, really good saves. So the thing I like about him is that he commands his box.
Yes.
He comes off his line, he'll punch it, he'll catch crosses and whatnot. He just looks so comfortable in goal. And obviously now he's Argentina's number 1. They have to have a good season, otherwise teams are going to be like, yeah, we want this guy. So, like that would... Hugo Lloris isn't getting any younger. Like if Tottenham sorts themselves out, that could be someone that they look to in the future. But
what's your prediction? Where do you think they'll finish?
In position, I've currently got them 8th. Currently, but I think they could really surprise. As long as they don't have injuries, because Bertrand Traore did well last season, and I don't know. Obviously, with Ings coming in now, whether or not he's going to be a starter. So they've slightly got depth, and El Ghazi was brilliant when he came in.
Yes.
He doesn't necessarily track back as much as nobody near the level that Traore tracks back at, but he's very techy and he can come, and he's another one that he can whip it, no backlift and whatnot. So there's goals in that Villa, man. Yeah, so whether they can keep him out.
I've got them 8th as well. But
Yeah.
I think on your basis, it kind of depends on the teams around him as well.
Yes.
But they will definitely challenge for that Europa League spot, 100%. They've got so much quality there.
Yeah.
I'm expecting a big season from Aston Villa.
Because remember, last season, they were batting around. There was even, if they won their games in hand, opportunities for them to get to the Champions League places. But then Grealish got injured and they won, I think it was 2 out of 13.
Yeah.
So who knows what could have happened. And even the games they won weren't convincing. I remember they won 1-0 at Leeds. But, they defended quite resolutely in that game. But if Leeds had been on it, they could have done something more. But so, I've got them 8th. But slightly, if I see any odds on them to come top 6, I might get drawn in. just for the odds, I might get drawn in. I don't think they'll do it, but that's how you make money with them ones,
Exactly. Well, to be fair, at the moment, we're both aligned. I feel we've got a similar kind of vision in terms of where teams are going to end up. So the next team we can speak about is Brentford. So new boys, finishing 3rd last year, winners of the playoff after beating Swansea 2-0. Couple of new signings. So one player called Aneka, who I'm not aware of too much, and Aja, who played in Celtic. So he's a good signing for me.
Very good signing because he can play in central defence or central midfield. That's a really good signing. I was actually surprised at that because I thought a team that I would have thought maybe someone like Wolves have stacked.
Like a Leicester even.
But that's what I was thinking. Someone like not top 4 or top 6, but maybe Leicester, because obviously Leicester gave top 6 last season. But if not Leicester, I would have thought maybe like a Leeds or Everton or someone like that would have come in for him, So
big season for Tony this season. Very prolific last year. Yeah. Do you think he'll be able to replicate that form going into the Premier League season?
I think Tony, because he takes penalties as well, I think he's perfect. I think he's capable of getting 12 league goals.
Yeah,
I do, and you could even get more like Bamford does, because he's going to start regardless for them, and that's what Bamford had last season, and that's why he was able to deliver as many goals as he did and get some assists as well. I think he got 17 goals, 7 assists last season, Bamford. I think Tony can at least get 12 league goals. Good finisher.
Yeah.
Obviously, this will be the ultimate test for him now at the highest level, because sometimes you've seen. But because if someone, for instance, you could liken him to an extent, Tammy Abraham, who scored a bag of goals in the Championship on loan at Swansea and Villa. And so, not Swansea, sorry, Villa and Bristol City, sorry. He didn't he didn't get as much playing time as he wanted when he was in the Prem on loan at Swansea. But he scored a bag of goals for Bristol City and Villa in the Championship. And though some people don't like the style and have question marks on him, he still, when he plays, gets some goals. If Tammy Abraham was a team's number 1 striker and played all the games, he'd get you a good amount of goals. So I think that obviously playing obviously for Chelsea, they've got quality players in there, so it's completely different for the supply line he's going to have at Brentford. But I think with him starting all their games, I expect him to get double figures.
I'm going to be a bit bold. I think he'll get 15 to 20 goals.
Ooh, I think that's what I wanted to say, but I thought maybe a bit bold. But I think
speak how you feel.
I think he could get 15.
I was impressed the way he played because, yes, he's a goal scorer. Don't get me wrong, but he has more to his game as well. He's good with link-up play as well. I think he can get 15 to 20 goals. I think he's going to be such a pivotal part of their season where, unfortunately, if he doesn't get the goals, it will have an impact in their season. But I was so impressed with how he was last year. I don't want it to be where... So you've mentioned Tammy Abraham. Another player that comes to my mind is Brewster. So a player who went to the Championship, who was really prolific, scored amazing bangers from left, right, every angle you can think of, but couldn't quite cut in the Premier League. So I think he has a bit more about him than Brewster. I think Brewster is still very young, still growing into his body. He's still a young boy. So Tony looks like he's ready. And the way he speaks as well when he's interviewed, I just feel like there's a different mentality that he has. Like he's got a proper winner's mentality. So I'm expecting big things from him. So I've also got him in my fantasy team as well, just to give you like a
Yeah, I have too, but I thought I was not obviously thinking outside the box, but obviously I was thinking, okay, maybe at the most he'll have about 20% ownership. When I bought him in my FPL team a couple of weeks ago, he was owned by 33%. I thought, damn it, looking for an early differential. But yeah, no, if they really fly, he could get 15 to 20, as you say. But I'm going to stick with 12 because I remember I got high on Temu Pukki rather, for last, and then his goals dried up. So you have to be good in all parts of the season, not just Merton Messina have a great start, then go cold, then maybe come back with a couple other goals. So I think 12 is reasonable, but you know, if if they've got a book, well, you're coming with that FPL kind of, you know what I'm saying? You're trying to put the positive energy out there. You get me? So yeah, but yeah, if he does what I think he's going to do, then Brentford might be able to escape the drop.
Now, individually, I think he'll have a good season. But in terms of the team, do you think they'll avoid relegation?
I think they need another attacking mid. With the links, with Thomas Frank being Danish, I think they should try and get. They've got a Damsgaard there already. They should try and get the Damsgaard that at Sampdoria that played in the Euros. He should use his Danish. Obviously, use that to get. Sorry, Asia's Norwegian, isn't it? If he can use his Scandinavian ties or whatever it is. Get in some Danes because there's some good Danish players out there.
There are
attacking midden because we're talking about how many goals Tony could get, but it's all about the people who can give the ball to him. Otherwise, he's just going to be crying in the box with his hands on his head. But they've got a good left back in Rico Henry who gets forward well. So we'll see what they can do. I think they need to do more business, but I'm quite optimistic. I'm not think they're quite going to be Leeds, but I think that they're going to be okay. And a lot of people don't agree with me in regards to that.
Where do you think they'll finish?
In my table, my quick table I drew up, I've got them. I've got them 16th.
Snap. So do I.
I've got them 16th.
I've got them 16th as well. I think. I do agree. I think they do need a couple more players, but I think with Tony in there, I think he'll probably, because I'm expecting him to score about 15 goals. So if he does that, it should really help in sort of climbing up the table and getting some points. I don't think they'll do it comfortably. It's going to be a long ride for them, but that's just my prediction. I think they may be able to sort of get out and just survive in the end. So
I think they could be Arsenal, you know. I think they could be Arsenal Friday because if you look at their right, 1 second, let me get it up. If you look at their fixtures, they've got Villa. We'll see, but they've got Brighton.
Yeah,
4th game of the season. So they've got Palace. So, 2nd game of the season away, not easy after they play Arsenal. Not easy, but they've got a couple, 1 or 2 fixtures in there that they'll be thinking they might be able to take points from, and we'll see.
We'll see how their season pans out. So, another team that I feel like might be playing for their survival in the Premier League, Brighton. So, Brighton finished 16th last year with 41 points. In terms of the new signings, I'll be honest with you, I'm not aware of many of them. So they've signed a player called Sarmiento, and Wupu, Shepen, and Mitumo. But I believe Mitumo has actually been loaned out. So it's a strange one. And then obviously Ben White, big sort of player for them last season, has been sold to Arsenal 50 million. Matt Ryan has gone to Real Sociedad. And they haven't recruited that many players. So for me, looking at their squad, I feel like they're going to struggle for goals. How do you see it panning out?
Yeah, I'm sure their team that I think are going to bring in another team. I think they're going to bring in at least 2 players in the next couple of weeks before the window closes. It's a tricky one. Neil Maupay is one of them players. In one game, he's moving and what I can terrorize, but I think he thinks he's better than he actually is, and he could be quite greedy. And he could be quite greedy sometimes. He needs to be big this season. Welbeck though. Welbeck showed last season that when a manager has faith in him, like Potter, he can make things happen. Still not an accomplished finisher, but his movement. Saying that, he did score some good goals last season, but his movement was making things happen and allowing players like Lallana, McAllister, whoever to drive.
Yeah.
And Trossard, rather more than McAllister. Trossard, obviously, to be able to drive through.
Yeah.
And so, again, it's goals because these lot, the way they play with the system, whether he plays 3 at the back or he plays 4 at the back, the way that they play, they try to control matches, and it's only when they play against the top teams that they aren't able to do that as effectively. Lallana, when he was fit, was able to really pull some strings in the midfield, and they are more often than not a decent team to watch, but unless they do the business that I expect them to do, they could really struggle.
No, I can't sign that. I think it will be a very, very difficult season for them. Put you on the spot. Prediction, where do you see them finishing?
Ooh, you see, I've been moving them and Wolves in my table, but on the last table I had before this started, I've only got Brighton 17th.
I guess our football minds are quite alike. I've got them 17th as well. So, I think we're on the ball regarding that.
I've already got them 17th. I want them to do better because I actually like them. I want them to do better, but they need to do more business because if you're getting 50 million for Ben White, you need to go and you need to use.
Bissouma's still there as well, and there's kind of uncertainty in terms of will he stay, will he go? So
he's another good player. I know a few Liverpool fans that want him. Bissouma's a good player.
No,
if he could add some goals to his game, then because he likes to shoot, but
I think he has the capability to do so. He does score a couple bangers.
Yeah, his shooting's very wayward, but when he hits them, they stay hit. But but the thing with them that could save them is that Robert Sanchez, I don't know where he's come from. I didn't know who he was until I saw him on their bench last season, and now he's Spain's third choice keeper. He can save them in tight matches.
Yeah, he's a good shot stopper.
He's a good goalkeeper. So that is why I don't think that they'll go down. But if they don't score, because they never scored that many goals last season, if they don't back up their ideas for a goal, they're going to have problems.
Definitely. No, I agree with that. Burnley. So most people's bogey team there, to be fair. 17th, they finished last season with 39 points. Haven't recruited that many players. They've signed Collins. They've brought in Hennessy from Crystal Palace. One departure in Brady there. I think the key players are pretty much the same key players every year. Tarkowski as well in terms of the heart of their defense. McNeil as well, providing the assist and the width in that team. And Wood, who's the clinical finisher there.
And Ben Mee as well.
Ben Mee as well. Yeah, Ben Mee, yeah.
Joe Tarkowski, they got decent fullbacks in Naughton and Taylor. But the thing is, though Tarkowski missed the first couple games, they never had Mee for a sustained period. And they didn't start getting results until Mee, their captain, got fit, as good as Tarkowski is. So, but they're just such a complex team because they look awful at times, but then Nick Pope saves them. When they don't just have a game where they look absolutely brilliant. When they played Everton last season, I told everyone who was around me, Burnley are going to win. And they were like, no, Everton. I said that. And Everton's home form was poor anyway. But before I even started watching the game, because I had it on Bundesliga, it was 2-0 to Burnley. It's just what they do. When they need a result, they pull it out.
They do. Unexpectedly as well. So
no one likes them, but they get the job done.
They do. What's your prediction for them?
Putting me on the spot here. The ironic thing is that the Bees as such currently are in order. So I had Brentford 16th,
Yeah.
Brighton 17th. I've actually got Burnley. Sorry, Burnley fans. I've got you 18th at the moment. And it sounds mad because if those important pieces, obviously when Pope finally gets he's ready because he had shoulder surgery, Pope, me, Tarkowski and whatnot, defensively they're going to be okay. And I spoke about their fullbacks all right. Bar Wood, I don't know if there's enough goals in them. Ashley Barnes wasn't used as much, so you've got Vidra there and whatnot. But I just think in the main games, I don't know if against the teams in and around them, I think they're just going to be drawing actually 0-0 or 1-1. I don't know if they've got enough there. So at the moment, when they could surprise me, do some business, I think it might be it. A lot of people always say every season, yeah, Burnley going to go down, Burnley going to go down. I'm sick of them. This might actually be the season. But this is just because I'm looking at the table, I'm thinking, I don't actually know. So I've got to go with the gut, and this might be the time. But that could all change. With who they're bringing before the window, but yeah, 18th at the moment.
Yeah, I've got them 18th as well. I think this will be the year where I think they've ridden their luck quite a bit now, and I think this is the year where it just falls apart for them. For me, there's no improvement in terms of what they're doing. Obviously, I know they're one of those teams that they're not the prettiest to watch, but they get the job done. I just think they'll run out of their luck this year, and unfortunately, I think they will get relegated. So moving on, Chelsea. So Chelsea currently playing right now. I'm just checking the scoreline now. So playing Super Cup final. I think they're going into penalties.
Oh wow, wowzers! I completely. What did you say? 1-1 in
Yeah, so finish 1-1 extra time.
They've won the penalties.
Oh, they've won. Okay, so Chelsea.
Because we started this, I completely forgot about it.
Yeah. So Chelsea, newly crowned Super Cup champions, there finished 4th last season, 67 points. In terms of ins, they signed the goalkeeper Bettinelli. Lukaku's not official, but I think it will be tomorrow, hopefully, because he's around. What do you make of that signing? Because there was a lot of talk where I think a bit far-fetched, but people thought Haaland would have been the guy that they would have introduced into the club. What do you make of Lukaku rejoining Chelsea?
Lukaku, look, you can say what you want to say about Lukaku, but Lukaku gets goals. Man United fans were so busy cussing him about his first starts, they didn't realise that he was their top scorer in both the seasons that he was there. But 2 brilliant seasons at Inter, linked up really well with Lautaro Martinez, who's more skillful, technical, better on the eye than he is. But they just bounced off each other, and it was great to watch as Inter are my Italian team. But some Chelsea fans, they don't want to appear snobbish, but they wanted Haaland or Kane. I say some, a lot of them. But Lukaku has unfinished business there. And when you think of what Chelsea accomplished last season, the fact that they were able to come 4th, as you just said, won the Champions League, FA Cup final. They've just seen won the Super Cup. Kepa the hero. Though obvious, we all know Mendy's their number 1 keeper. They've got a squad where they could even sell a left back right now because they've got Emerson Alonso and they got Chilwell, right? They've got everyone thought when they got Thiago Silva, they thought, oh, he's going to be 36, he's past it and whatnot. He's done well for them. They're talking of bringing in Kounde from Sevilla, and that would mean Kurt Zuma would end up going the other way, I think I heard. But I'm not sure what's happened to that because that's not the talk on that's not as hot as it was. But they've literally got, for whatever formation they play, 2 men for each position. They've got squad depth. So, of right back, James or Aspilicueta, centre half. Obviously, Zuma's there at the moment. He might go, but then you've still got Silva, as I said. You've got Christensen. You've got Rudiger. Midfield, you've got Kante. One of the best players about Jorginho. I'm sure they'll let Barkley go. They've just got players just all over, and they're forward options. Come on, man. Hudson-Odoi, Ziyech, who picked up an injury today, Pulisic, Mount. There's just so many options there. Then Lukaku's going to come in. And Timo Werner, though his finishing has been extremely random. He's so fast, and the way he's always moving around, he's going to open up so much space for Lukaku.
Yeah.
That if their top scorer last season, I think got 12 in all comps. I think it might have even been Tammy Abraham in all comps. In the league, I think it was Jorginho with 6 or 7 goals, and they were all penalties. So for them to have done, as I said, FA Cup final, 1 Champions League, 4th in the league, without someone consistently scoring for them, they could be a real problem.
I agree. In terms of Timo Werner, I mean, with Lukaku coming in, I see him playing more as a wide forward.
Yeah.
So in that position, it suits him a lot more because he'll be able to stretch teams and then cut. So it'll be more on the left side. So he'll be able to cut in, and then he'll be able to score the type of goals that kind of got him into the spotlight when he was in Germany, where it's more outside the box, but also coming in and scoring tap-ins as well. Whereas when he's number 9, when he's the main striker, his hold-up play isn't the best. I think in terms of the pace of the league, that got to him last year. And his tactical awareness isn't quite there to be the main striker for a top team, in my opinion. So,
and the physicality as well.
Physicality, big part. And then
they played Brighton on the opening day, and he was talking about how he's never seen defenders so big and powerful, talking about like Dan Burn and Lewis Dunk and whatnot. So now he's had time to acclimatise. I think he's going to have a good season.
And with Lukaku as well, I think people are sleeping on Lukaku because the way he's improved playing for Inter Milan, I don't think people are expecting the guy from Manchester United who didn't have the best of first touches and all that sort of stuff, because that became like a comedy thing online. But the way he's been playing in Inter Milan, I think you're going to see a different beast when he comes into the league. Before he wouldn't, I think he wouldn't use his physicality as much as he should, but he's added that into his game, and then he was tormenting defenders in Serie A last season. So finishing wise, he's always been a top clinical finisher, but now he's added assist to his game as well. So for me, that signing is probably the perfect signing that Chelsea could have made. And it is a worry for rival clubs. I can't lie. You mentioned squad depth. They've got 2 players for each position. If they get Koundé as well, that's a different ballgame. He can play centre back, he can play right back comfortably, and he's such a pacey player as well. It'll be very hard to beat him in that sort of one-on-one situation. So Chelsea are a concern for me, if I'm honest with you. Prediction. Where do you see them finishing?
Currently, I see them being City's closest challengers. Currently, there is still time to go, FSG. But yeah, currently, I've got them second.
Yeah, I'm not trying to copy it, but I've literally got them second as well. Yeah, I know you're my guest on the show. I'm not just trying to copy you. I've actually got it written down. So
this guy tapped my computer.
I'm so impressed with their squad depth. As a Liverpool fan, which you'll talk about in more detail, I'm sure. It's a worry because they got quality left, right, and centre, and I think they can play. The good thing about their players, they can fit into different systems. So 3-4-3, they can easily do that. They can switch it to a 3-5-2, which was played at Inter Milan, where Werner and Lukaku can be like a pairing as well. 4-4-2, if they wanted to play in that way. 4-3-3, like they can literally play any formation. And I think that they have the right squad for them to acclimatize to those sort of formations. So yeah, it is a worry. I'm not going to lie, but Chelsea looking strong. Another London team, Crystal Palace. So they've got a new manager in Patrick Vieira. Last season finished 14th with 44 points. Made a few signings. Or at least they got from Reading, Montez, Guri. I'm not. I'm from Chelsea. I've not seen much of him. Anderson, for me, is a very, very good signing. The Fulham defender.
Yeah.
He was very impressive last season. But in terms of the players that have left, that's the concern for me because Townsend, Cahill, Scott Dan, Klein, Hennessy, McCarthy, Sacco, Van Aanholt, and Wickham, they've all departed from the club and they've not really been replaced and they don't have the biggest of squads. Who are the key players for this team in order for Palace to be successful?
Though obviously you've pointed out the players that have been able to leave the squad, McCarthy and Cahill have surprised me, and obviously, as you're saying, Patrick Van Aanholt has done a job for them at left back. But
Yeah.
obviously, they've got Tariq Mitchell, who looked very good in the games that he played last season. He's got a decent cross on him as well, can tackle. So I was quite high on the players that they brought in. As you spoken, what Anderson did very well last season. He had a horrible time at Lyon, but last season alone at Fulham, he was really good. And I was quite high on to do Elise in. So when Eze gets fit, they're going to have the creative element. Obviously, like it might not be until near Christmas considering Eze's injury, but Elise, Zaha, and
Elise looks good as well.
Elise, Zaha, and Eze. That's a lot. That's a lot there. They've got a lot of contracts that were looking to run down. Obviously, as we've seen, some people have been released or let go. But Benteke, I don't know if they're going to look to go back in for Batshuayi, because obviously with Vieira there now, that was someone that Hodgson looked to. But it all depends on their start, because their start is horrible. They've got Chelsea, Brentford, which is a game they should be expected to win, West Ham, Tottenham, and Liverpool, and then they play Brighton.
Yeah,
not the best start with having Chelsea, Liverpool, Tottenham in there, but if they can get through that with a couple of wins, then because they'll fancy themselves against the likes of West Ham and Brighton, then we'll see. But no, I think Palace will be okay. I think Vieira, I wouldn't say he's pulled up any trees as a manager, but just something different to the players and not the same like agricultural style that Hodgson used to play when so much relied on Zaha. But they're saying that there were some games last season he let Zaha and Eze do their thing and Palace looked better off for it. Yeah. So I thought Hodgson had one more season in him, to be perfectly honest. But they've got him out there. So we'll see what Vieira can do. A lot of people are excited about it, but when he was in the MLS, obviously at Nice, did okay, but I think it was outstanding. But I think Palace will be okay. I think there's enough creativity in there. That section of teams that have them in, I think they've got the most creativity out of all.
Yeah, especially last season. I actually think they played some really good football last year, especially with Eze as well. Just one in the park.
So as long as they don't waste their chances.
Exactly. So I think it'll be decent. I think they've got quite a bit of business to do. I'd probably expect them to sign a couple wingers as well, because they don't really have a lot of pace in that team apart from Zaha. So if Zaha was to be missing, I think they struggle to stretch teams from the wide areas. So in terms of their league position, where would you predict for them?
I have Palace. Let's get my table back up. I have Palace. Oh, God. 12th.
Okay.
Got Crystal Palace 12th currently.
I've got them 13th. So it's slightly different there, but in the same sort of range. The table range there. So let's move on to our noisy neighbours, Everton. Last season, they finished 10th, 59 points. They have signed Townsend, Bergovic, Damari Gray, who had a good long spell at the Bayer Leverkusen last season. Players that have departed are Walcott, Josh King, Bolasie, Besic, and Bernard. I didn't know he actually left. He's gone to a club in the UAE, which is a bit of a surprise. Firstly, what did you make of the Rafa Benitez appointment?
How long you got? I was disgusted when I first heard the rumor. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to mince my word. I was absolutely disgusted. But his family's not moved from the Wirral since he was Liverpool manager, and he left there 11 years ago. Yeah. So this is like being able to manage a club, and before you started managing them, Like so, and this is like work because of where you live. This is like working at the local Sainsbury's. You get what I'm saying? So because he's been travelling around the world without his family, whether it's been so obviously he was still in the Prem with Chelsea, and when he was interim there, you've been Napoli, Real Madrid, etc. You went to China to manage Dalian, and you've not always had your family there. So it makes sense for him, though we don't like it because obviously we're Liverpool fans. It makes sense for him from a family perspective in terms of having such a short distance to go for work. He can be with them as much time as he wants outside of managing, and they can obviously come and attend some matches should they wish, which they've not had the opportunity to do frequently since obviously he was at Liverpool. So I didn't like it, being a Liverpool fan, but I understood it. I'm mature enough to understand the decision. So, but at the moment, though, Gray, he scored one goal, I can remember, for Leverkusen, didn't have the best time. And that fee is madness that is so low. I don't understand what happened to him and Leicester, because I would have thought he would have been, the way Leicester play, he's got a shot on him, decent turn of pace. I would have thought that he would have been a major player for Brendan Rodgers, but obviously something happened between them two there.
Yeah.
But Townsend whipped them balls in for Calvert-Lewin, but at the moment they need to do more. They need to do more, especially, we're not going to get political with it, but especially we don't know what's going on with whether it be Delph or Sigurdsson. They need to do more, and James might look to leave because he only came to Everton because of Carlo Ancelotti and the time they spent together previously, him and Ancelotti at Real Madrid. So if Ancelotti gone now, he might not fancy it anymore. So therefore, I think in terms of what they're going to create, they need more. And at the moment, as highly and as much love of Rafa Benitez, I see them coming in a similar position to next season unless they do more in the window.
I think in terms of what you said about Rafa Benitez, it's probably the sensible kind of way of thinking because, as much as we love football, there's more to football, family, life, it comes first. So when I saw the rumors, I was like, oh no, that can't happen. But the more you kind of looked into it, what, it makes sense for him as a person because, like I said, he's been away with his family. He's been traveling all over the world, managing different teams. And we both know as Liverpool fans, his love for the city of Liverpool.
Yeah.
So it was bigger than just coming to a rival club. It was him being back to his home. He regards Liverpool as his second home. So, and this is not to be rude to him. He's not the same level of manager that he was when he was a Liverpool manager. So as his career has prolonged, there was a time where he would probably wanted to come back to the Premier League. And these are the type of clubs that are, offering him a contract right now. So I think some of the reactions from Liverpool fans was a bit over the top. I can understand it, but there's more to life than football. So in terms of what you said, I totally agree. In terms of the team squad depth, I think they lack a few players. Centre mid for me is not the strongest. I think goals as well. If Calvert-Lewin wasn't playing, where do the goals come from? So there's a lot of areas that need to be improved within that team. In terms of their expectations of their season, where do you predict Everton to finish?
Right now, unfortunately, I've got them in 10th again. And it seems crazy because the amount of money that they've spent in the last how many years, obviously a part of that was obviously because they received hefty money for Lukaku from Man United. But even outside of that, they've spent. Richarlison was a 50 million package. Sigurdsson was a 50 million package. They've brought in Decore. They brought in that is it Gambino from a Gambino or whatever, and he's played like 2 matches for the clubs in the couple of years that they've been there. Everton has spent money. We can't, just because of the fact that they don't get themselves involved in, they've not got themselves back into Europe and whatnot. They spent money, but right now, look at the squad. Your starters are all right. They keep James. Decore did okay for them, but Calvert-Lewin is very streaky. He needs to be consistent all throughout the season to give them the chance. They had Josh King last season, in the second part of the season. I don't know why Ancelotti didn't use him more. We
Yeah.
will see what Rashford does. But we can see already with them getting in Gray and Townsend, he's looking to feed Calvert-Lewin. So if they do feed him, he could have his best goal scoring season. But it's about the other parts of the team I'm not sure about, because Dean, even Seamus Coleman's about 32, 33 now, still a good player. They've got all that centre halves. But they still consider their home form was dreadful last season. I'm sure Rafa will sort that out. They just need more. They just need more. They just need more to me in all positions on the pitch. And as good as Jordan Pickford is for England, he doesn't play as good as that for Everton. At the moment, I'm not convinced they could come higher than what they did last season.
100%. I've got them 11th. I don't see them improving. I think they're on a slight decline. I don't see them actually attracting a lot of top players. I know Benitez is there, but whether he can sign that sort of top quality player, I'm not quite so sure. And also with Harry Kane, being heavily linked to Man City, could Calvert-Lewin be an option for Tottenham Hotspur? They might want to sign someone within the Premier League. Obviously, I know they're linked to Lautaro Martinez. I'm hoping that doesn't happen, personally. But they might look within house and they'll be like, you know what? Who else can sort of replace the goals? And not similar ilk, but they are big target men. And I think he can get the goals for that sort of team as well. So it'll probably take them a lot of work to keep hold of Calvert-Lewin if Tottenham Hotspur, for example, were interested in them. But
they need what? If Moise Keane's back, they need to give him stages, because he's come back from loan at PSG, right?
Yeah.
If he doesn't get sold, he needs to get minutes, because he showed at PSG that you give him the ball, he can score, and he can make goals for himself as well. You get the ball out of his feet, he can make goals for himself as well. He's more likely to score a goal where he turns someone and shoots than Calvert-Lewin. You get me?
Yeah.
So that could be their saving grace. Unless obviously they move him on before the window closes. But at the moment, I can't say I'm convinced by them. But with the fact of the likes of the Leicesters and the Leicester Spurs, and West Ham have got Europe.
Yeah.
If they start well, they might be able to get above one of those teams. But right now, I can't see it. So I've got them 10th when they came last season.
Yeah, me too. And I think with Keane as well, I think he'll be destined to go back to Italy. I can't see him wanting to play for Everton. I think he didn't have a great time there to begin with, so I don't think anything will kind of convince him to stay. That's just how I see it. And coming from PSG as well, he'd probably want to play for a team that's challenging for Europe and probably do it back in his home country as well. So we'll see how it pans out for Keane there. Another team I think were probably everyone's second favorite team last season was Leeds United. So played some beautiful football on the Bielsa. Finished 9th with 59 points. So joint points in terms of Leeds United and Everton there. In terms of the new signings, Harrison was made a permanent transfer, which is a big move. Firpo as well, the signing from Barcelona.
That's a good player. He did well at Betis. Didn't really get that much playing time at Barca, but that's a good signing.
That's a top signing. So a couple of other players that have left. So Pablo Hernandez, I think he was latter of his career, so that's why he's left. Alewski, which I was a bit surprised that he left, because I thought like he did quite decent whenever he played last season.
I thought he was going Galatasaray, but he's gone to a team in Asia, hasn't he?
Oh, has he? I'm not too sure.
Okay. I thought he was going to go to Galatasaray because his contract was up, so he obviously wanted out. Probably bored of the English weather.
Don't blame him too fair. In terms of their squad, I feel like they've got a good spine, so they've got a lot of good players in their team. So for me, I was impressed with their centre back Strujic, who for me looks very classy on the ball, good defender as well. Mm-hmm. Dallas as well, kind of unexpectedly was like one of their main goal scorers last season, playing in midfield, can also play defense, but was getting the goals.
Stuart Dallas did the job. A FPL revelation, because obviously he's actually a winger, but because he played fullback this season, because he played fullback when they were in the Championship in some games. Because Bielsa, as I was saying, likes to move people all over the place. They had him as a defender in FPL, and boy, he got a ridiculous amount of points. But no, that he's a good player. Whether he plays wide, plays centre mid, or whatever, that's a good player. But Leeds, again, I think they're going to do similar things to last season.
Yeah,
keeping Bamford and Rafinha was important. I was surprised. I thought a bag of teams would try and lure Bamford away, seeing what he can do in a system where people interchange. Like, for instance, obviously, when people think of striker for a team that has a big money, you would be thinking that, they're going to go for a European player. But considering the fact City have just got to go get Leeds, I was very surprised. I think someone, a Man City, Tottenham, whatever, I think they should try to take a gamble on Bamford.
Would you take him at Liverpool?
Of course I would. Of course I would. Because the thing about him is that he does some of the chances that he misses. I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, oh my God. But just the movement, link up play. Him and Rafinha had this thing going on. So the thing, Bamford's better on the ball than people give him credit for. He sometimes picks up the ball and gets it out of his feet and can slide past the man, pass it wide, and then gets himself in the box. And that's what Liverpool needs, someone that gets himself in the damn box. Because sometimes we play, big and press, win the ball high up the pitch, and then they break forward. Robbo and Trent, one of them's the furthest man forward. They're putting the crosses into the box and no one in the goddamn box. You know what I'm saying? Get someone in the box. So yeah, I'd take a pop. I would take a pop on Bamford. Some Liverpool fans won't like that because they like to play Football Manager and think that you're going to go and get this guy that costs this amount of money. But we don't operate like that. But so.
I'll be surprised. I was expecting us to go for Rafinha. I feel like he just looks like a player that'd be excellent for Liverpool.
There was talk of that, like minor talk of that, but it looked like maybe some of it was clickbait because I know Klopp has complimented him in the past on that, but there's no way. If he has a similar season in terms of goals and assists as to last season, there's no way that he'll be there the following season unless Leeds get into Europe, because he was at Rennes, and Rennes obviously got into the Champions League. So he said he was shocked that they conceded, they got accepted a bid for him anyway. And I think he only cost about 20 million. You can't tell me that. What are our scouts doing? But anyway, well, the next team, so we'll talk properly then anyway. But we'll talk about Liverpool.
So just to wrap up Leeds United, where do you see him finishing?
I've got Leeds currently 11th. But if they do more business, they're going to be in the top half of the table for me.
Interesting. I've got them 9th.
That is where I had them before, but I left the team out when I was compiling my table. I didn't realise. So yeah, I got them 11th. Fair
enough.
Yeah.
Okay, we can move on to Leicester City. So missed out on the Champions League again last year. 5th with 66 points. I brought in some good players. Patson Daka, who was heavily linked with Liverpool. Some more as well, who was, he's a French league winner with Lille last season, and Bertrand, good squad player.
That's great. On a free, that's brilliant business, Brian.
Brilliant business.
Bertrand's solid.
In terms of Patson Daka, did you want him at Liverpool because he was heavily linked? He was. Yeah. You did want him.
You don't need to talk anymore. Yes, I wanted. You don't need to elaborate on your question. I wanted Patson Daka.
Okay, fine. Yeah? I'll leave it at that.
Because rapid, he suits rapid, can finish. It just suits what in terms of how we're trying to play the game.
Yeah,
I don't like. Come on, man.
I know it's true. We'll talk about Liverpool soon. But I'm impressed in terms of like the way Leicester do business, because if you want to sign one of their players, you need to pay top dollar for them. So with that sort of strategy, they'll always maintain their top players. So key players for their team. So Soyuncu for me, ever present. Last year had a bit of an injury sort of spell in the beginning half, but definitely made up for it in the latter stages. You've got Castagna for me was very impressive. Can easily adapt on both fullback positions.
Yep.
Tielemans, another top water player.
Come to Liverpool, Tielemans, man. Come to
Liverpool. I was gonna say, but I'm glad you did as well. Madison, heavily linked to Arsenal. I don't see that move happening personally. No. Harvey Barnes looks like a top player. Really impressed with him. And Iheanacho, for me, impressed. I didn't see him to be as clinical as he was last year. And obviously they've got Vardy. So they've got the spine there. They've got the quality there. And unfortunately, Fofana was injured from a ridiculous tackle in a pre-season match.
Because of the injury, because it looks like he'll be out for a while, they're going to buy Vestergaard from Southampton.
That's it.
So
what do you make of that signing?
He's a decent centre half. He's all right on the ball, considering how tall he is. We all know Leicester are good with set pieces, so I can see him getting a couple goals with set pieces for them, and he's perfectly capable of playing in a 2 or a 3. And Brendan likes to play 3 at the back sometimes. So and then let the wing backs go do their thing. They've got James Justin to come back from injury, and he was outstanding last season. He was one of the best fullbacks in the league last season until he got injured. So they've quietly got a decent squad, but they've been really, really unlucky with injuries in the last couple of seasons. And rather than looking at injuries that they had, people just like to say, "Oh, Brendan's a fraud, he bottled it," and all this. To the extent, yes, but the injuries as well, need to be taken into consideration. So therefore, with Europe, they just fell short in the Champions League. But just the fact, considering what they've done, Barnes and Maddison both got 9 goals last season, right, in the league, and both of them missed games as well. So that is a very good. That's a very good return, right? So when you consider that, what they've done in the last 2 seasons, though they had a big drop off at the end of the 1920 season, so didn't get Champions League football because they were running toe to toe with Liverpool until Liverpool then started to pull away, and then they just dropped further and further down the table after Christmas, right? Because really what they've achieved, when it's only really been Vardy, apart from that late ridiculous burst last season from Iheanacho, adding Patson Daka is huge, because whether coming off the bench or starting or what, he's going to trouble defenders. And for that Daka signing mainly, even though Samari was a good signing as well, right? I think they're going to be okay. I think they're going to be okay and handle the figures of European football, because they are stacked in the fullback area, because that Luke Thomas can play there if needed. Justin, as I said, when he gets fit. Castagna, you mentioned. Ricardo Pereira was assisting like mad in his first season in the Prem, and then he was winning a bag of tackles in the following season, but then got injured. So, I quietly like the squad that they've built. And if what's happened to Schmeichel, Danny Ward is more than, well, he's obviously Walter's number 1, but he's more than a competent goalkeeper. I remember back when he was at Liverpool, I was screaming for him to get in the team when we had Karius Mignolet and all this nonsense going on with our goalkeepers. Leicester,
he's well number 1, so he can't be that bad.
Leicester will be okay. I think Leicester will be okay. The injury gods have to be kind to them this season, so it'll be okay.
In terms of Vestergaard, I think that's a good signing. I know he's not like a fancy name kind of signing, but I think in terms of what they need, he's a perfect signing. Premiership proven as well. He showed in the Euros, because them all were playing a back 3. He can easily play in a back 3. Southampton played in a back 2. Did that comfortably. Really good on the ball as well. Aerial presence. Scores a lot of goals from set pieces. For me, the right type of signing. Sometimes it's not about getting players that are, the trendy sort of player at the time. It's trying to find that right balance. And for me, I think that would be a good recruitment there. Where do you see him finishing in the league this season?
Oh, yeah, you spoke about important men. Wilfred Ndidi.
Yes.
A very
100%.
Very, very, very good player. And he easily slots into that back 3 when they've had injuries or he wishes to rotate. I've got Leicester, and it might surprise some people. And as I said, a lot hinges on bringing on Samari from Lille and bringing Daka in. I've got Leicester 5th again.
Yeah, snap. I've got them 5th as well.
I've got them 5th. Oh, okay. I thought you were going to have them 6th or 7th. I've got them 5th again.
No, I've got them 5th. I think they'll have a similar sort of season, but because of the European football that they've added to their campaign now, I think it will just have a slight impact on them. But I think they will be up there as well.
I think they're looking to I think they'll be, because he took it seriously last season anyway. I think Brendan Rodgers is seriously looking at trying to win the
Europa League.
They've won the FA Cup. They've won the Community Shield. They've got that winning feeling now. And Kasper Schmeichel is just a brilliant leader. It looks as though he's really good in the dressing room as well.
Yeah, he does.
He's just brilliant. He's just brilliant. He's a proper leader, does a lot for the city and whatnot. And I think Leicester will be okay. I know some people they think they're going to struggle because of Europe, but they were in Europe last season. Did they figure they've added to the squad because they've not got the biggest squad? They've added to the squad. I've got fifth again.
I couldn't agree more. I definitely see, because they've added such good players to the team, I think they'll just go again and then hopefully have a good season. Before we speak about our beloved Liverpool, just got a comment here from Mental Health Guy. Jorginho, Euro 2020 winner, Champions League winner, and Super Cup winner. Make it stop. I know.
It's Jorginho for Ballon d'Or.
Nah, he can't win Ballon d'Or. Cannot win Ballon d'Or. Don't get rid of the accolades there. Look, it looks good as well, but yeah, for me, he's not a Ballon d'Or winner. You know, when you say Ballon d'Or, for me, it's like I'm looking at elite players that are the best player in the world at that time. Not just statistics, you know?
I know, because of obviously, though he's different gravy, Modric getting it a couple of years ago.
Yeah, I know. That's the comparison there.
It's a case now where people were like, no, you've got to throw the Jorginhos, the Kantes, you've got to throw these people's hats in the ring, because that's the precedent that you set now. But we'll see.
We'll see how that goes. Now, I'm going to get comfortable for this one.
Wow. So what? So you're telling me we've been doing this for well over an hour already and we're only just getting to Liverpool?
Yes.
It's one of the longest podcasts we've ever done, man.
Well, it's about to get longer now because we're going to delve into Liverpool. So, Liverpool. Well, it wasn't too bad in the end. We finished third, which was for me unexpected because I just didn't see us challenging top four at all in the second half of the season. Finished with 69 points. At the moment, we've only got Konate coming in. Players have gone out: Gino Wijnaldum to PSG, Wilson to Fulham, Grujic to Porto, and Awoniyi, who's gone to, I think, Union Berlin in Germany. So, in terms of, let's just go a little bit off Liverpool for a second. Gino Wijnaldum playing for PSG has a new teammate in Lionel Messi.
My goat. My
The
goat.
goat for me as well.
Oh, okay. I thought you was a CR7 man.
No. Messi for me.
People constantly. I thought you was a CR7 guy.
Like, for me, I just can't believe he's a PSG player. I just didn't expect him to leave Barca.
It's happened so quickly, isn't it? But Barca have own problems. They made their bed there for lying it. The ridiculous wages given to the likes of. There was talk about them not trying to get Griezmann because of the wage demand. They gave him that ridiculous amount of money, and then with all things that they've done, they're well over in their wages. Can't register. They've created their own problems here, and you can't, and you struggle to feel sorry for them in regards to that. But Ginny's hit the jackpot. He looked like he was all on to go to Barca, because you know about the Premier League. I'm sorry, in the Dutch, rather, the amount of the Dutch quota that there's been at over the years. So he would have grown up seeing the likes of the Philippe Cocu's, and the Balls and the Overmars, Clive Works and the Davids, etc. And obviously with the whole the legend that Cruyff is, so he would have known about that from when he was young. Even though obviously it was before he would have been watching football like that. So you thought he was all set to go to Barca. He's gone to PSG and he's going to end up playing with Messi anyway. That team on paper is just a cheat. It's just cheating. It's just cheating. You know? It's just cheating. Yeah,
because regardless of come to life, literally.
What's what you still want to say about him? Angel Di Maria still operates at a quality level. And he can play, because of his work rate, you could use him at multiple positions. Jose, back in his Real Madrid days, would use him at centre, choose him at centre mid because of the work rate. So use him there sometimes. Obviously, naturally a winger, but he could easily go do a job at fullback for them. So the fullback, wing back for them. And they've just got like it's just amazing. So yeah,
they could switch it up for me as well. They could switch up to like a 4-2-3-1 formation where he plays on the right side, Messi as a number 10, Neymar on the left, and then Mbappe up front. And then you got Verratti and Wijnaldum in your centre mid. So they've got different systems, and Di Maria will still have a big part to play in that team. So
he's a quality player, and always has been. Didn't work out for United, but in his first part of his stay at United, he was getting those assists in. So yeah, he's a very good player. But yeah, it's just cheating. Clipper Navas is a very good goalkeeper anyway. But
Donnarumma now.
But you got Donnarumma now, who already at 22 is one of the best goalkeepers in the world. Let's not talk about them. I'm getting jealous.
Yeah, let's talk about, because they're clearly splashing the cash and we're not. So
it's a Premier League review. Forget them.
So, do you see us signing any players by the end of this window?
It's just not going to be the people that, as I said, these fans that play Football Manager. It's not going to be the people that they expect it to be. Klopp has played things down, and he actually included Shaqiri and Origi in what he said recently about the squad, and he doesn't know why people were expecting signings. But and he's a true, but apparently Leon have had a bid accepted for Origi. The money that it looks like we're getting, I think they're saying we are demanding €8 million from them. That is still
Shaqiri, right?
That is still way too cheap. Yeah, I think we could easily, with the negotiator that Michael Edwards is, I thought that we could easily have got the money we spent for Shaqiri, so a quick 12 million. Because regardless of the injury problems, what's happened in Liverpool, he still was a quality player. Quality player.
After Euros as well, he had such a great Euros for Switzerland.
He always does things in major tournaments for Switzerland as well. So exactly, as you said there, you would have thought that would have held his market value at roughly around what we got him for at the sheer least, because he's done well again in the Euros. But no, I've always been a Shaqiri fan. When we got him, I was more gassed than other people. People thought, because he's coming from Stoke, that he wasn't good enough. And I'm thinking, man,
he's a baller. If you watch him play for Bayern, Inter, Basel, he's a baller.
He wasn't Inter for that long. He's a baller. And we forever have love for him for that cross for Wijnaldum against Barca, and obviously those goals against United. I remember we did to Salah when we beat Huddersfield at their ground a couple seasons ago. He's and I think he'll do really well in France. So I'm not. Some people are get him out because they're thinking get money to buy new people, but I'm actually not best pleased that he's going, which will shock some people. But but I think more people will get moved on if we lower our asking price for some players. Because at the moment we're just really selling people that were on loan last season. Konate looks really good pre-season. There has been questions about his injury record, but some of those injuries have been before international breaks or at the end of the season. So they seem actually he's been out injured longer than he actually has been. But he looks really good. The thing he's better with the ball at his feet than he's given credit for. People are just complimenting him on how fast he is, and obviously he looks really strong. He's tall. But he's actually better on the ball and more technically gifted than he's given credit for. And it looks like he'll just fit right in. Because of the problems we have, because though now we've got an abundance of centre-halves, I thought we were going to... It looks like Ben Davies will get moved on. I don't know why didn't start a game last season. I thought that was the whole point of it. You'll make profit there. If you sell him for $5 million, you're going to make profit there. So with him probably going to go... I thought they'd loan Reece Williams, but if they sell Nathaniel Phillips, because he was left out of the friendly against Osasuna because apparently teams want him. I think Burnley want him. And obviously with how good he is in the air, he will suit their play because Burnley's games, we called them Kabaddi FC on the other podcast that we do because the ball's all, you get me? And then the box and people are getting roughed up and knocked over when Barnes or Wood or whoever are winning headers or the centre half are winning headers, really physical. So I think he'd fit right in there. But I want him to stay. Some people are like, oh, no, get him out. I want him to stay because though that would mean 5 guys if we do move Davis on and just say, as I said, we to be loaned. Phillips was reliable, not necessarily to be a first choice, but if he would be happy to be the 5th choice, I'd say keep him because what you have to realise about the centre halves is that Van Dijk's just coming back from this long injury. Matip is injury prone. Joe Gomez is injury prone. So you look at it and you think, 5th choice, no, move. But considering the cup competitions as well, you're actually going to get more playing time at Liverpool than you would have. And if you can keep the likes of those players fresh then if we do draw a team early in the League Cup or the Premier League, as we tend to do, you can play a stronger team than you usually play. Because let's be honest, that's why we don't win these domestic cups. Because though obviously we've done well with some of the players we've brought in, we've never had the biggest or best squad in the league, even when we won the title. So it's all about preserving the main 11, and that's why losing Ginny is so important because Ginny was the most durable player in the squad.
No, I totally agree with that.
When Ginny beaten out for 3 or 4 games, it never happens. You get what I'm saying? Even when he was at Newcastle, I don't recall it happening. So, but we need to do. Liverpool need to do more. Everyone just thinks when I look on social media as well that because we're getting certain players back, it's just going to automatically propel us back into the title race.
Yeah,
things don't always work out like that.
No, I kind of echo what you said. I've been quite vocal about it, especially last few months. I want 5 centre backs going into next season. It's a learning curve in terms of what happened to us. We had, unfortunately, Van Dijk injured, and then Gomez, and then Matip's pretty much injury prone. So it comes with the package, I guess, when you have him in the squad. But
he's very, very good, though. Very good. And because of his injuries, people don't like to say it. But we wouldn't win the Champions League if it wasn't for his form.
He was amazing in that second half of that season.
So he made me come back in because he was there on merit.
Yeah. And to be fair, I know a lot of people are like, sell Matip. I don't want him to leave. For me, it's like if he's 4th choice, he won't be expected to play a high number of games. So he can kind of be saved for certain matches. So even if he plays 15, 20 matches in a season, he'll help Liverpool in the long run for me. So I think a 5th choice has to be kept. Phillips, I would keep Phillips.
I'm going to change on all fronts though, Ozzie. Having him as the 4th choice.
Yeah.
You're playing a cup game.
Yeah.
Joel Matip is starting.
Yeah.
It makes a huge difference
to,
you know what I'm saying?
100%.
With that experience in there. So, okay, Matip and Reece Williams, okay, let's see what's going if that was to be the case. But I think we should be loaned out because I think Reece Williams is good at clearing the ball and heading it. But it's reading the game, which obviously comes from experience anyway. If you look at the Tottenham game, he's very good at that Tottenham game. But the times that Bergwijn got in at Anfield last season was because he pushed forward. When we lost the cup game against Man United, it was because he tried to head the ball and come and clear balls that he couldn't get to, misjudging the flight of balls. When he reads the game better, Reece can be very, very good. But for now, I think he should, like Van den Berg, should be sent on loan to play Sweden. And
definitely, I think he should be sent out on loan. Were you surprised that we didn't sign Kabak permanently?
Yes, but Konate looks better.
Yeah.
And has Champions League experience with Leipzig that Kabak didn't have. He played his first Champions League games like Phillips did for us against Leipzig, and then obviously against Real Madrid when we were knocked out.
Yeah.
But I thought Kabak, obviously the shining light on it, people shine light on the nonsense with Alisson when we lost to Leicester. But I think Kabak, there's a very good defender in there. Yeah. What I like about him is he isn't afraid to be a bit, sometimes you need a bit of that. Yeah, let the other team know what time it is and that you're not playing about. So, but with us getting Konate, we were never going to keep him, even though it looks like he's been offered out by Schalke because they haven't got much money. For cheap. But yeah, I would have kept him. Yeah, but obviously, the fact we bought Konate and I want Matip to stay. In terms of defenders, it wouldn't logically make sense because you can't otherwise Klopp would be forced to name 6 centre halves in the starting if we just sit there and accumulate them. But yeah,
no, it's true. So obviously, Gene Wijnaldum's left the club. I think everyone should sort of agree to this, that we need a replacement. We need another midfielder in that squad. Who do you realistically see Liverpool going for, or who would you think would fit the bill in terms of what we need in our team?
There's so many different people because in regards to the midfield, because of the price, I think in terms of box-to-box people, we're okay there. But saying that, the 2 main guys, and the figures they could score a lot as well, because there's talk, obviously, and Klopp used Ox as a false 9 in pre-season.
I don't want that.
Keita, but Ox has got the build for it, and he shoots a lot. That's the difference with Ox and Naby, but they never fit. They shoot. Liverpool don't shoot enough. Sometimes we're playing teams, we're just trying to play it, and then try and work Robertson in or Trent in when there's not the space for it. Shoot the goddamn ball. But so therefore, Hassan or Uwa, rather. Or
what about Renato Sanchez? Because he's been linked quite heavily with the club again.
Liverpool fans, though, they complain about the lacks of the injury prone, the Matips and the Oxys, etc.
Yeah.
And the Caters, but Renato Sanchez,
he's got injury record as well.
Hasn't played a vast amount of games for Lille, but obviously he looked good again for Portugal. So he only played about half the game since he's been at Lille. So you don't know what his injury record is going to be like. But yeah, he'd fit because he's got the energy in there. He's like a poor man's Edgar Davids, isn't he? He's got the energy in there and can drive box to box. I mean, you all know how good he was when he was a teenager. But but otherwise, there's people there like your Leon Bailey's, who he's obviously gone to Villa. I'm trying to think. If Daka's gone, he would have been a good person to have. Myron Boudou is a player that I like, but he's just gone to Monaco from.
The Dutch striker.
We're being linked to Jeremy Doku, but I think we need a more person centrally, rather than another inside forward or whatever. Harvey Elliott though can save us a lot of money. He's been used as the head of the midfield 3, and he looks very good. He's so smooth on the ball, really good player to watch. He could be the difference, though he's a teenager. I say give him the time. Curtis Jones, I expect more goals from when he does actually get fit. But I'm trying to think who like realistically could we? There's Joe Bowen talk. Joe Bowen's a good player, but that's not obviously that's not who we're looking for. But if that's the case, then why didn't we go for Ben Rama last season? You know what I'm saying? It's like if we won the league, we're just being backward. We're just being backward in regards to like.
And I don't think that's the type of player we need, because for me, I was quite impressed with Harvey Elliott on his loan spell last season. So for me, he can easily play that right hand position, and he can play centrally as well.
So good, like good on the ball, makes things happen. Can receive the ball on the half turn. He just looks ready. He just looks ready.
There's not many strikers out there. That's the thing, because
there's people. Let's like go for like a target man like this. Belotti apparently is going to be available because the way we cross the ball, like Tsimikas used to be a winger, and so obviously like he's shown that he can get forward just like Robbo does, and the way Trent crosses the ball, we know Henderson likes to whip that one to the back post. So like someone aerially can give us a plan B and different dynamic. So apparently Belotti is going to be available. It could be as low as 15, I heard, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
You do this. Veghorst at Wolfsburg, who was linked to
Okay.
Liverpool a couple of years ago. Anyway, if you want to go the target man route, but
Yeah.
otherwise, as you said, if for a link guy, not that Leeds will sell him to us, you could have gone bust a Bamford or something like that. Might not be the name that people listen to. That's what Liverpool want to hear, but it's not necessarily always getting the name. It's about the people then that are going to fit the way that.
What about Vlahovic from Fiorentina?
That's a good name. He's a good player. He's got a left foot.
That's the player I would like us to see, but I don't see it happening.
Gonzalez from Stuttgart to play with him. So if they were to sell him now, how much time is that giving them in to get someone in? But
I can see him going into Milan, to be honest with you, as a Lukaku replacement.
Yeah, Vlahovic. Probably getting Dzeko and Korea to if whether Martinez goes or not. But that's a possibility. But you know how it goes over there. We'll probably end up at Juventus, unfortunately. That's just the way it goes over there. But that's a good name. That's a good, and we'll be linked to him anyway. Good player. Good.
No, we'll see how that goes. But do you know what? I have a feeling Doku might be the one we get. You know, that's just me putting it out there because it's been documented that he came to Anfield when he was like 15-year-old. He's met Klopp, he's met Mane, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I feel like he's always a player that was always on the agenda. I think we probably would have wanted to have signed him next year, but because he had such a great Euros with Belgium as well, I feel like this is probably the time that we'll sign him. And also,
we'll get extorted though, because he's only been at Rennes for 1 year, so we'll get extorted.
Yeah, and also with Jota playing as a striker last year as well, kind of was the hidden gem where we were like, oh, we're actually getting goals from central areas that Firmino might not be able to offer because he plays more of a deeper role.
Yeah.
So obviously I don't have any sources or anything like that, but I feel like there's something in there with the Doku rumors. Him and Mane for the left-hand side. Doku can play on the right as well, which he predominantly does for runs. And then you've got Jota and Firmino up front, and then you've got Harvey Elliott and Salah. So for me, that's a great balance. You've got everything you need. Doku with lightning pace on the wings.
I notice how you never said Origi. You want him sold. you want him sold like me, don't you? You want him sold.
He needs to go, man. Look, he's a cult hero. Don't get me wrong. I'm not going to forget what he's done for the club. The goal against Everton, obviously Barcelona and all that stuff. But I think for his own career, for both parties and the club, he needs to leave.
Yeah, Newcastle as well. That goal to keep us.
Yes, Newcastle as well, yeah.
Race in 18-19. Nah, Origi, we love Origi, but certain times it's got to be tough love, innit? I actually, and other people I know that support Liverpool were mad at me. I actually wanted Origi sold after we won the Champions League. Because
I was probably one of them as well.
Because obviously he got his new contract, because I was thinking this guy's stock will never be higher.
Yeah,
we can fool the team into spending about 40 million on him, because obviously this is pre-COVID, so transfer fees were not issued, and now teams are trying to be a bit more meticulous in the way that they move. But I would have moved him on then, because I think that he was at his zenith in terms of his star power, if that's the right words to use.
No, you're right. And we're struggling to sell him now. So it's proved evident that, that was the time where, because let's be honest, he doesn't quite fit into Klopp's philosophy, the way we play. He's not intelligent enough to be a number, or a false nine, I should say. And on the wings, for me, he's a bit erratic. Like, he'll run down the wing, but there's no end product in terms of what he does.
I think that is why he needed to be moved on, because Klopp does not. Remember, back when Sturridge was there, in the 15-16 season when we got to the UEFA Cup final, Klopp's first season, Origi was his preferred choice. And remember, Origi scored away at Dortmund in the semi, and then he scored the first goal actually at Anfield as well. But then obviously he picked. Oh, sorry, the quarterfinal off against Dortmund. We played Villarreal in the semi-final. But then Origi got injured, which is why Sturridge came in and Sturridge started doing his thing. That was his preferred choice centrally. So I do not know whether or not so off, because obviously Firmino's going to drop deep, so whether or not it was inside forwards or whatever, that was his preferred choice.
Yeah.
So something's happened in that time since then that Klopp has not been fully convinced of him down the middle, because he's not an inside forward. As you said, he can run and he might get past someone, but there's always that he dwells on the ball. There's always that unnecessary step over or an extra touch that is not needed. So therefore, if that's the case, use him in the centre. If you're not, flog him. It's made no sense. He's not scored off the bench since the Champions League final. So if you're meant to be an impact player and you're not impacting, then why? And I will never forgive him for that miss last season against Burnley. I will never forgive him.
I totally agree with you. That was so frustrating because that really could have helped our season at that time.
We don't go on the likes of Chelsea and Fulham were better than us when they came to but we do not go on that ridiculous home losing streak if he puts that chance in against Burnley.
No, definitely agree there. We've got a comment here from FBoa4969. Do you guys think FSG and Liverpool are hedging their bets for the January transfer, hoping to find some value in buying players on the fringes of at other clubs as opposed to this summer window? Bloody hope not.
I like FBJ, you know. I like FBJ. my brother now, he's he does he's part of our Footy Factory team for the radio show.
Yeah.
Big up FBJ. Good question.
I hope that's not the thinking process, because I know you probably hear it as well. It's like every year it's like, next summer's our year. You know, apparently this summer we were supposed to buy Mbappe last year. Next summer, apparently, we're going to get Bellingham and all that kind of Haaland and all that kind of stuff. Like, I'm sick and tired of hearing next summer. Like, it's nonsense. Like, people need to get off that horse. It's just BS, literally.
I think they are, sadly, and people are going to want to hear that again. I think they are, because think about it. You're seeing all these teams around you making movements, and Klopp has even said himself that we see teams doing business or whatever. Yeah. We know Klopp was mad with the fact that he wanted centre-halves and they didn't react until Matip got injured against Tottenham, and then we squeezed in Davis and Kabak, who we've spoken about already, at the end of the window. It looks like they're waiting for January, when you might not need to pay as much because someone might come out and the team, you don't know what might happen. There might be a bust up between the manager and the player or whatever, and they might find more value then. But that is a big risk. Big risk. We've got lucky that Robertson is not out for longer already. So it's only going to be Tsimikas to play the first few games, even though there's rumour going about that James Milner is going to start on.
Tsimikas has to start. He's been fantastic this season.
Liverpool Twitter is going wild. they're like, it's going to start. So unfortunately, it looks like that's what they might be doing, because look, Uar, as we were saying, is available. We could probably get him for no more than 25 million. And with the quality of player there, getting him for anything under 30 million is a bargain. So you can act now and get people. Italian teams, as we've seen, it doesn't seem like they're blessed with money. Are we even trying to dangle a carrot in front of them and say, all right, Vlahovic, 30 mil, something like that? We're not trying to be active. I don't know what they're waiting for. I don't know what they're waiting for. So, unfortunately, it looks like they might just be waiting till January, if they're waiting at all.
I really hope that's not the case.
Just find how it is.
No, because that would have a massive impact on our season. I feel like, don't get me wrong, our squad is fine, but last season was proof that you can't rely on your top players, because they're not superhuman. They can get injured. So for me, it needs to be more strength and depth in the squad. And if we don't sign at least a couple players in this transfer window, I'll be honest, I'll be very disappointed, because I feel like it is needed. We don't have the numbers the way people make it seem out to be. We need another attacker in terms of strength and depth. We need another midfielder, kind of to do the job that Gini used to do as well. So you mentioned Owa. Owa for me would be a good signing, but I feel like in terms of how our midfield play, he might not be suited because he's a bit too attack-minded. But with Owa, you are getting a versatile player, so he can play as a number 10. He can play on the left as well. And for 25 million in this day and age is peanuts. So It's frustrating.
The perfect Jimmy replacement is Yuri Tillemans.
Yeah,
That's the perfect Jimmy, but that's not going to happen.
that's not happening.
So it's not going to happen. So therefore, I'm sitting there thinking that you've seen a durable player. And I used to get onto Jimmy, not because of, and it's always his fault, but just because of the fact that he was got so regimented in his style that's why Klopp, even though he clearly wasn't going to sign a new contract, was so reliant on him because he listened to all the instructions. Sometimes I'm thinking, Ginny, just take one gamble. Klopp will forgive you because I know there's certain things that Salah does and Mane does at times, and you can see Klopp and touch it and you're thinking, what the hell were you not doing? But he won't. And I think Ginny was so concerned with possibly maybe being dropped that he stuck by that. And the Barca game showed that because when he said he was cussing about being on the bench, but he's come on and got off the 2 goals that have led us to the final and whatnot. He didn't want. He was scared of being dropped. He didn't want to take certain risks because sometimes you played as a 6, sometimes you played as an 8. I remember we went away at Barca and he was basically playing it as a 10 in the first leg against Barcelona. But at certain times, it's like, go on because you can finish. Have a pop. Sometimes he would hold on to the ball too long on that. But losing you can't buy his durability.
No.
So the fact that they've not acted on that is making me think, this is interesting. Because if you let Shaqiri go, then Harvey Elliott steps into that role. So therefore, you're just plugging gaps. You're not strengthening.
Yeah. But that's the problem. That's what we did last season with our defense. So we started with 3 centre backs, and we were like, "Oh, we'll be fine because Fabinho can be that makeshift defender, 4th choice." And behold, 3 of our centre backs get injured. And I was playing Fabinho and Henderson as our centre-back pairing. So for me, lessons have not been learnt here.
Thank you.
Recruit more.
Because also, if you look at it, right, Liverpool were top after 14 games. 9 wins, 4 draws, and defeat. Then they went on the ridiculous losing run at home and lost games. Stupid defeat against Southampton, stupid defeat against Leicester. But the last 10 games of the season, they won 8 and drawn 2.
Yeah,
which was the best over that period in the league. And the 2 draws, you can see the late goals against Leeds and Newcastle. So the game management was there, but obviously I understand the key individuals, your Van Dijks, Hendersons were missing that are all about game management, right? So for 24 games of a 38-game season, you were the best team in the league. But that middle section, losing 8 games out of 14, was the most pathetic thing I've ever seen in my life, right? So
at home as well, Anfield record.
Yeah, you think, okay, boom. If we strengthen, we're going to be changing for the title. But they think because people are coming back from injuries that they've got to fight back to it. You're nothing in football. Football is not like it's a nasty game. It's a not forgiving game, and I just feel, as you said, that they're riding their luck again, and it would take them to have a crazy result, like to lose to Norwich in the opening of the season or something like that, for them to think that okay, now we've got to do something here. You shouldn't take that. You should know anyway. Even when you're in a position of power, you should be looking to strengthen to be able to be there. You can't take anything for granted in football, you know. So.
Do you know what I find funny is when you go on Twitter and you see things like, "Oh, that player signed a new contract. That's like a new signing." I read something the other day. "Oh, Klopp getting a holiday, getting a rest. He's a new signing. How on earth is he going to be a new signing? He's a manager, for God's sake."
Someone that we know in the Liverpool people, I said that all these contracts, they reckoned, were tied up from 2 or 3 weeks ago, but they're saying they're just spreading out, announcing them as a
100%
form of appeasement because they know, of course, the fans are going to go off. But we shut our mouths for an hour or 2 when we're like, "Oh, okay, tied down to a new contract. Well, cool." You get what I'm saying? We're not fools. We know what game you're playing.
Listen, our PR team is the best PR team in the world. You know, during the season when Liverpool had a bad result, you'll get that small clip of Van Dijk running the park.
Yeah. They know what they're doing.
That wasn't done accidentally. That was purpose. That was a strategy.
Manipulating the masses. You see Van Dijk and you're like, you know what I'm saying?
And then you see Gomez as well. They're both running together. Like, you know what I mean? They know what they're doing.
Don't get twisted. We had some rotten luck with injuries last season. But at the end of the day, if we'd been better, we could have got through. Klopp never had faith. I understand why, because you train with the players every day. But if Klopp had just had that faith early on in the season to just play centre-backs at centre-back.
Yeah.
Fabinho and Hendo in the midfield with the cover that they can provide as well, especially Fabinho, who is the best about probably in the world in his position.
Yeah.
Then, because I consider Kante more box to box. So in terms of a holding guy or deep line, when Fabinho's in full flow outstanding, right?
Yeah.
His protection is better there than playing him at centre half.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? Because then you can't influence the game. If you do, you're taking a risk. And sometimes when Fabinho and Henderson did step out, that meant Thiago had to slot in. Like,
it had a domino effect. We had to make shift everywhere.
And the components don't work.
Yeah.
They're not working, you know? So when the spine is not there, the nervous system can't operate. That was what I had to say numerous times last season to calm people down that were getting mad, because we were all mad. But it just got silly because you're watching games and you're thinking, like, you've got no like grip on the football match. So just play there. And then, because believe me, we only came third anyway. We finished 5 points by Man United or something like that?
5 points, yeah.
We would have still, even with those players out, had a shot of finishing second if he just done that early on. But hopefully he's learned from the mistake there. But it's just mad. Every day you wake up, you think we're going to be linked to someone, we're going to do this, and it doesn't happen. And each day it happens, it's getting closer and closer to this season starting. So it comes to a point where you have to look at it and think that the squad is more or less what it is now, is what it's going to be. So.
Listen, I'm so optimistic. I'm just thinking that we're going to get that Fabinho type of signing. I'll wake up thinking, we're going to get that type of signing. It's not happening. It doesn't look like it's happening. So, it's one of those ones where...
Because you'd be optimistic, but the people who we want to buy are getting put by other clubs, or they're signing new contracts.
Well, Lautaro Martinez apparently is linked to Spurs, and apparently they've agreed a fee. I don't know how true that is, but when you see stuff like that annoys me.
And the thing is that Arsenal bid for him originally at first, and that Letty had the bid rejected. The only reason why we would consider Tottenham is because obviously they've just bought Romero, top signing, and playing with Kane if they can keep him. But things there as well, also these are his Argentinian buddies. That's the only reason why. But I do not see, he doesn't want to leave it, just like Lukaku did. But he would demand some outrageous wages. When I did more reading, because I saw the clickbait about they've accepted the fee, when you actually read more into it, the less you think it's going to happen, because they're like personal terms, whatnot. Everything's a long way off there. But that's what I'm saying. I don't know how much money we have. But if you've got P, imagine Liverpool bought Lautaro Martinez. Yeah, now you're talking. Yeah, that's a power move. Yeah, that's putting you on the table, as they say.
We don't do power moves. That's the bloody problem.
You know what I'm saying? The only big ones, the outrageously big ones, have been Van Dijk and Alisson, but that's because of the
Coutinho money.
That was coming. Well, then again, they would have bought Van Dijk before Coutinho went anyway, because we originally tapped him up in that. But Alisson's definitely not coming if it wasn't for that money there, and we would never be where we are right now with the Champions League and the league if we never had Alisson as our goalkeeper.
Yeah. Look, me and you can speak about Liverpool all night, so let's just...
we better cap it there and do the other teams, otherwise I'm telling you, we'll be here 3 a.m. Because I've not even thinking nearly as much as I want to, but there's other teams to be done. It's getting late for some people who have work in the morning.
Yeah, so let's crack on. So, prediction-wise, where do you see Liverpool finishing as it stands?
Currently, and some might think I'm being a little optimistic with that, but currently, because I've listened to stuff where people have been like, Liverpool going to be 5th, 6th. I've currently got Liverpool 3rd.
You got them 3rd?
3rd currently, 3rd.
Yeah. I've got them 3rd as well, but on the basis that I'm not talking about signings, I'm talking about injuries, that we're lucky with injuries. That is on that basis. But
that's what it is.
That question again after the window.
You don't want to have to be you don't want to have to be saying lucky, but that's what it's going to take at the end of the day. And if there's injuries, panic stations once again. You know. So we shall see.
We shall see. So moving on to Man City. I don't think this segment's going to be that long. Finished 1st with 86 points. Brought in Scott Carson. Don't even know why I mentioned that. Jack Grealish, 100 million signing.
That's a League and Champions League winner. Yeah, have some respect. Respect. Yeah, Istanbul, baby. Istanbul.
I know he's done more than most players have to be a fit in their careers. But in terms of departures, Garcia agreed to Barcelona. Permanent move to Leeds United. We don't need to kind of scout through that team because we know who the top players are. Are they going to regain their title again this season?
Yeah, and the sad
You
thing
think
is
Harry
that
Kane signing for them?
I was going to say the sad thing is that I think they retain it whether Kane gets injured or not.
Yeah.
Injured, goodness me, whether Kane gets purchased or not, I think that they win it,
Yes,
and
so,
that's a damn indictment of of where the other teams in the league are compared to them.
yeah.
Because the thing about them is that they have people that just pop up and get goals for them.
Yeah. Gundogan as well. Last year got double figures.
And most of his goals were scored because he was further forward because De Bruyne wasn't in
Yeah,
the team.
play like a false nine.
Yes, I don't get why people think that when De Bruyne is injured that Man City are just going to lose all their games because it doesn't happen. Where's the proof? Even a few years ago when they got 100 points, De Bruyne was injured for half the season. So I don't understand why people come out and say these things. But the fact that they did so much damage, as you said, with Gundogan basically as a false nine with no striker, because even when Gabriel Jesus was fit, they were leaving Jesus on the bench in certain games, right? Even Grealish, and I said it last week, but then when the deal was done on another podcast I did, but then when the deal was done, even Pep said in his interview, he said, even if need be, we could play Grealish as a false nine. Because we've seen the way, with body strength, the way Grealish can dribble, what they're going to win free kicks. He can stay there and open up space for others because we've seen Foden. I don't know if Bernardo Silva's still going to be there. Sterling looks rejuvenated. They've got so many players that can just score. They can just score. Even if need be, you'll see Mendy or Zinchenko, whoever starts left back with them, pop in and score an important goal. So they just get goals from all over the team, and don't obviously they want the Champions League. I don't think they're going to get it. League, I think it'll be a lot tighter because I'm speaking about Chelsea's threat. I can't look past Man City winning the league unless Liverpool surprised me in the next couple of weeks.
No, I think they're just a relentless team. I think they'll be unstoppable at times.
If they get Kane, do it anyway. But if they get Kane, then forget about it. I won't even watch their games this season if they get Harry Kane.
Mate, I don't even know if I'll be doing this podcast if they got Harry Kane.
You're just going to see a statement from the Football Talk podcast.
Yeah, back next season maybe.
Maybe.
Trust me. Because this season will be a write-off if Harry Kane was to be signed. And I'll be honest with you, it looks like it will happen. I just have that gut feeling that he will be a Man City player probably sooner than we think.
They'd have to sell them. They'd have to sell somebody.
I think they'll sell a couple. I think Bernardo Silva definitely looks like to be out the door. Not sure who else would go, to be fair.
To leave, so
yeah.
Sterling's in that, but you never know. But
yeah, you never know. We'll see. Okay, Manchester United. So so they finished second with 74 points. They've got Heaton, Jadon Sancho, big signing, and Varane, not official yet, but pretty much all agreed. So he should be a Manchester United player soon. Let's cut to the chase. What do you think are the expectations this season? Do you think they are genuine title challenges, or do you think they're still missing a couple of players?
Varane, though I don't think he's been great in the last 18 months or so for Real Madrid. You couldn't even maybe go 2 seasons. I don't think he's still one of the best centre-halves in world football. And so that's a great signing regardless. It says it. Sancho, great signing. Another player who I thought would have fit in. We spoke about Rafinha earlier. I think he would have fit at Liverpool with his dribbling ability, his creativity. He's also good at finishing in terms of the position he plays on the pitch. He's got a good shot on him. So those signings immediately improve you. I think the problem United have is the manager. I'm sorry to say. I think a better manager than Solskjaer finishes closer to Man City last season. Because when you think about it, Man City lost to Chelsea at home, lost to Brighton, lost to Leeds at home.
Yeah.
Still finished and lost to Chelsea.
Yeah.
And wait, or did I say Chelsea already? Chelsea, Leeds. Yeah, sorry, Chelsea.
Palace as well.
At home.
Yeah.
They lost. Yeah, Chelsea Leeds at home. They lost to Brighton. And there was another game that they lost as well. but they've still finished double-figure points ahead of United. So a better manager makes that actually more of a risk. If even have picked them to it. When you look at the way things went about for them last season, they started with Martial. He wasn't scoring goals. Cavani, when he came in, did a job, and when he wasn't scoring, his movement was just creating space for others. Bruno Fernandes, whether he plays good or not, is always going to put up numbers for them.
Yeah.
Add Sancho to that. Rashford will return after his surgery. They're going to get goals. But still, though they've got Luke Shaw, who had the season of his life, and they've got Wan-Bissaka. As good as a Euros as Harry Maguire had, I still think Maguire is just, I don't know. Even when he plays really good, I don't know. I just look at him sometimes. I think, but I think it's the manager. They've got enough to do more to compete, but to win the title, I don't know. It's Ole. And he's just got a new contract, so I'm not going to let him go. I just think that his in-game management is just it's predictable. If Bruno Fernandes is on the bench before Champions League game, you know Bruno's going to come on if they get into any form of trouble. He needs to be able to learn how to win games without being heavily reliant on what he's doing. Rashford needs to score more goals when he comes back and he's fit. Martial needs to score more goals.
Yeah.
You all know when fit what Cavani's going to do, but I've not got the confidence in him. If he does, they could well come second again. But I've not got confidence in Oli unless he adapts and improves. So at the moment, I've got them lowest out of the Champions League teams, which might surprise a few.
Yeah, I think for me, I feel like they're still weak in that central midfield position. I feel like they need a sort of defensive mid, more of a destroyer type of player.
Definitely.
Then I can't have that. Yeah.
Good enough, you know.
That McFred thing's just a bit of a hype train, to be fair. But for me, they still lack a couple of players. I feel like that will strengthen that area. Attacking wise, they've got great quality going forward. Defensively, they've improved definitely. But I have to co-sign him in terms of Ole. I don't think he's an elite manager. So for me, he doesn't have that winning mentality that other managers possess. He's not really in terms of man management. Yeah, he's all right, but I don't feel like he gets the best out of players. I don't think the players play for him, because when you see managers like Jose Mourinho, they would literally run through a brick wall for him. I don't see that kind of commitment or that kind of aggression coming from those players. They're playing for the club or maybe the paycheck for some players more than anything else. So for me, Ole is still the weak link. I know a lot of United fans are still happy that he's there and that he's actually signed a new contract. For me, keep Ole at the wheel, because I don't think he's going to help United win the league anytime soon. Might sound a bit direct there, but for me, it is what it is. So in terms of their league position, where do you predict them finishing next season?
I've got them fourth. And a lot of people I've spoken to have them finishing above Liverpool, but I've got them fourth.
Yeah, I've got them fourth as well. So
if we don't adequately add, then we could just as well. It could be us that end up just as well coming fourth, but no, I've got them fourth.
Yeah.
Also, they need one or two more signings, especially as you mentioned, central midfield. I think that's key.
That is definitely key. So moving on to Newcastle, finished 12th with 45 points.
One last thing on United, though, is that with Varane coming in, might mean that he might go a bit more for it in the midfield and not have to take one out, because obviously you will be more stable at the back. He's better for buying, which they might be able to blaze teams out. You never know, which could thereabouts. But yeah, but
it'll be interesting, because I've spoken to United fans and they've said that I think Ole would be playing more of a 4-3-3 type of formation. So going forward, that probably doesn't suit Fernandes, because obviously he's more of a number 10. He's that attacking player, where playing as a number 8, I feel like you take away a lot of his credibility on the ball. And he's very wasteful when it comes to possession. So
it's because he's trying to be progressive when he passes.
Exactly.
So that's why. So there is a bit of leeway there, because you give the ball away, the more you try and play it forward. But does Pogba stay? There's still so many questions about United. Who's going to be the number 1? like goalkeeper. There's so many questions that we won't know until 6 to 8, maybe for 10 games into the season.
Yeah, we'll see how the season pans out.
Anyway,
so Newcastle. Newcastle fans aren't happy because they haven't signed anyone.
Anyway.
No, so a couple main players have departed. Andy Carroll and Axus, both of their contracts have expired. In terms of the key players, I think Lascelles is a key player for them in terms of leadership and being the rock of that centre-back pairing.
Yeah,
I know. Yeah.
I don't know what's happened to each form. He's been so off.
Yeah, I think injuries definitely sort of affected his development because some games he does so well, but I feel like the injuries kind of slowed down his progression there within the team. Shelby, for me, is that sort of that player that makes things happen in that team. Say Maximan is just a wizard on the ball, so obviously he'll try and get as many assists or goals as well for the team. But for me, everything depends on Callum Wilson in terms of getting the goals. Anything else, I don't see them doing much this season.
How dare you mention Joe Linton? How dare you? Joe Linton's the best player in the Prem now.
I know, he's the truth, isn't he? What do you see the expectations at Newcastle? Because for me, I still regard them as a big club because they've got such a great fan base. They've got an amazing stadium. Owners are a bit dodgy, but, I think a lot of clubs have dodgy owners, to be fair. What are the expectations? For me, it's Premier League survival. How do you see it?
Yeah, again, I think it has to be survival. They should have Joe Willett coming in because I'm sure a 20 million bid, but I think add-ons will take it to 25. So I'm sure
great signing that happens.
I'm sure that will be done. He was outstanding for them last season. And it was a difference maker because he had all these pieces there, Bruce, the Almirons and the St. Maximins.
Yeah.
Phrases in the team, but you start using there were injuries early on in the season, but you start using them properly until later on in the season. And if you go from the start of April, they scored like almost half their league goals from then onwards because you were playing them. So if Wilson can stay fit, they need more. They need more silence. But Wilson fit, played a lot with Willock, who's going to make those driving runs into the box.
Yeah.
They can cause some problems, but as you said, the aim is Premier League survival because until they show consistently, a form of consistency, then you can't rely on them. But a lot of the fans don't like Bruce, even though he's done a job the last 2 seasons. But they want to play, especially the older fans. They were about for Keegan, so they want to play a more attractive brand of football.
Yeah.
Cultural. They actually did that towards the back end of last season. But yeah, as you said, the aim has to be Premier League survival. And I think Wilson, the key, he missed some games last season, but still delivered a good amount of goals. He stayed fit, no problem that they stay up again. But the fans want more, that's the point. So, as you said, big club with their fan base. If that takeover does actually happen, they're going to cause damage because they were attracting names from back in the day anyway. So obviously, if the takeover does come in, Bruce, wherever they finish the table, will get replaced because that's just how it works. And then you can see them do something. But for now, as it stands, they'll stay up.
Yeah, definitely. I've got them finishing 14th. That's what I've got them in my league table. So.
I've got them 13th, actually.
Okay. Quite similar position. So, no, interesting season for Newcastle there. So another sort of new boy into the Premier League, Norwich. So championship winners with 97 points last season. They've signed a few players as well. So they've got Gunn, Rashika, who I've actually seen quite a bit in the Bundesliga. Looks a good player.
He's a baller. That's who we were heavily linked to for a year. It's a good signing because obviously they would have thought, okay, Bundia out. That's like a like to an extent, like for like. He's a baller.
And they've got Gilmore as well on loan from Chelsea, so that's good signing as well. And they've got Gibson on a free, so got some good players. Obviously, Buendia has left the club, so that is a void into that team. But I think Rashika will do. That would be kind of like the surprising kind of player for the season, in my opinion. I think he's gonna probably shock a few people because I think he's a top player. in terms of the expectations, do you see them surviving and staying in the Premier League?
Unfortunately, I don't.
Yeah.
And that's mad because Pookie's already showed he can get double figures at this level.
Yeah.
We'll see what Todd Cantwell can do this time around. He's been another player that's been linked. I know Villa,
yeah.
A couple of teams have been sniffing around him. He's a decent player. Hernandez is still there, I believe. So they've got some decent players, but again, it's defence that you're worried about there. They've somehow been able to keep hold of Max Aarons, but if any of the priority teams need a centre half, it's them. It's them. It's them. So unfortunately, I don't see them staying up.
Yeah. FBoa 4969 had just commented saying, "Are Norwich going to stop being a yo-yo club and stay up next season?" I think that answers your question there. I don't see them.
That's one person that hates yo-yo clubs. Nah, they're Norwich, sadly, and I like Daniel Farke, but Norwich, sorry for going down. I'll keep it short and sweet so we can wrap.
Definitely. I've got them 19th, so I don't see them staying up, unfortunately. So,
I've got them 19th too. But the irony is that could easily, I should really have them 20th because I've got defence for the other team. But yeah, we'll.
Okay, cool. So, next team is Southampton. So they finished 15th with 43 points. Few players coming in. Walcott on a free. Armstrong. So that's a big signing from Blackburn that they've just recruited in replacing Danny Ings.
I didn't know they got Armstrong from Blackburn.
I believe it's done deal. So you can quote me later on.
All right.
So I think that's for 15 million as well. So what do you make of that signing for Southampton?
Decent signing. He showed he can get goals in the championships. That's a decent signing. I would have thought they would have gone to try and get someone from one of the European leagues to win it because they recruit well. But that's an interesting signing for them. But I'm worried about them. I can't lie. I'm worried about them because it's one of those ones where they're letting people go, and even teams, Villa before, but teams are sniffing around James Ward-Prowse. Ings, if they were to lose him, their captain. But even if not, it just seems like they're willing to sell. Obviously, they've accepted the Vestergaard money, so they'll do business. They'll sign at least 2 more people. But for now, as it stands, because Armstrong's unproven, and even I gave my prediction not knowing that they're looking to tie him up. I'm worried about them. I can't lie. As much as I rate Arsenal, it's only because of I rate the manager, regardless of the couple beaters that they've taken. But I'm worried about them, and I actually have them 15th.
Snap! I've got them 15th as well. So
15th, I've played around in my table, but I've got them 15th.
Fair enough. Okay, so another team, Tottenham. So finished 7th last season with 62 points. They've signed a couple of players from Atalanta. So Golini, a goalkeeper on loan. Romero, big signing.
Quality signing.
Yes, big signing. And Gil from Sevilla, winger.
Brian Gil looks decent as well. And even just watching him in the Olympics. I like their business so far. There's definitely more to come.
There's rumours today circulating that they may be, not that it's a done deal, but there's rumours that they might be signing Dennis Zakaria from Borussia Mönchengladbach for 17 million.
He's a decent centre mid.
Decent player. So I think the recruitment is not too bad as of yet.
Yeah.
What do you expect from Tottenham this season? Obviously, I know the transfer window still got 2-3 weeks left, so there's probably a lot of business for them to do. And obviously, Harry Kane, as it stands, is still a Tottenham player.
Yeah, and I've given my prediction on the fact that Kane is still a Tottenham player. Otherwise, their league position would look completely different. But I just think that with some of the pieces they've got already, with Nuno as manager, we all know the formation he likes to play. He prefers to play. He sometimes uses 4 at the back, but he would prefer in a utopian society to play with 3. So if you've got, unless they move him on, because I know there's been rumours, Aurier at wing back. he would be much better in that role because not as much defensive responsibility because we've seen that he can be a liability there. But I think Reguilon will flourish as a left wing back. So I think he'd be able to get the best out of the Celso.
Yeah.
Dombele is the wild card because he's been talking about him not being ready to challenge properly.
Okay.
But he looks slim in the last picture I saw. I thought it might have been a weight issue or something like that. And he's that unpredictable figure because he can score goals, he can unlock teams, he can dribble, he's got loads of gravity and whatnot. The way that he plays really good, creative, and could be a driving force there. So they've got a lot of if buts because Dele Alli as well. If it's Harry Kane, I think just for the fact of the balance that he restore, even though you're probably about 10th on their list in terms of choices of manager, I think that they'll be quite solid this season. And Romero is huge because not only first time the viral I'm a fan of, and Dyer's still there, who I'm not really a fan of, and a centre half. I think Romero will improve them at the back, and I think one or two more signings they will be okay. So I'm quite optimistic on them at the moment. But if they don't make their signings, their league position, as I said, I will message you when the window's closed. Half of these positions in the table of teams will completely change.
Either
they do in the next 2 weeks. As it stands, they have Harry Kane, so I have got Tottenham 6th.
Oh, okay. I've got them 7th. So that's quite interesting. Got a couple of comments here. So, Charmaine, double your nephew said Norwich 18th and that no signings at Newcastle means they'll struggle.
That what? Norwich what?
Unless it's 18 and that knows how Newcastle means they'll struggle.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Fair enough. I've got another comment here from FO4969. Is it more important for Spurs to win a trophy or get back into the Champions League?
I think it's more important for them to get back into the Champions League considering the stadium that they've got. But for the fans' sanity, they need to win a goddamn trophy.
They do. I think financially, obviously, Champions League will help the club generate more revenue and probably more signings going forward. But definitely silverware, I think, is what the fans are craving for right now.
Yeah. So, because I couldn't get my screen bigger. What was that? I have a comment about Norwich in league position.
Let's put it back on. So, Charmaine says, double your Neff said Norwich 18th and that no signings at Newcastle means they'll struggle.
Yeah.
I think so as well. I've got Norwich 19th. You've got them 19th as well, isn't it? So
yeah, but I'm just thinking, because obviously we just.
But Willock will be that signing though. So I think Willock will be a pivotal player for them because that's what I've done on the basis that he's a Newcastle player.
They might need a centre half. They might need another centre half, but Newcastle, centre half and a centre mid. But Neff, Tata can see definitely why you think that they'll struggle.
Yeah, definitely. Okay. On to the next team, Watford. Last season, second in the Championship with 91 points. Couple decent signs in Danny Rose. You've got Josh King, Dennis from I think it is one of Club Brugge. Yeah, and Atibo as well. Quite a few departures. One naming Sinclair, who used to be a Liverpool player as well. For me, the key players are Kabasele in centre back position, Sanchez, Sarr, who got a lot of goals for him last season, and obviously Troy Deeney, who is the talisman.
I'm mad that's been rich with Liverpool because apparently Sadio Mane's been in his ear for a couple of years now.
Yeah.
His money, so I want an outlier striker, but I wouldn't mind him.
Yeah, he would have been a good option, to be fair. In terms of Watford's season, where do you see them ending?
Unfortunately, I've got them bottom. That's why I said probably from 19th interchangeable. But this is a contradiction because they've actually got goals in their team. But it's the defence that I'm worried about.
It's the defence, yeah.
Look at it. A team that has Beanie, King, Sarr, Graham, should score goals. And Emmanuel Dennis as well, Champions League has been goals for club. He should score goals. But I'm worried about them defensively.
That's yeah. I agree with that as well. That's why unfortunately I've gone for Watford finishing 20th as well, based on I think they will concede a lot of goals. But you never know. They've got plenty of attackers in the team, so they may go on to score a lot of goals and might help them within their sort of league position. But at this stage, yeah, I'm sorry, Watford fans, I've got you in 20th position. So on to the next team. One of the big surprises last season was West Ham, finishing 6th with 65 points. In terms of new players, they bought Ilimbi, Neves, Okaflex. For me, the big signing was Areola from Fulham. I think that's a top signing.
I wouldn't be though. Fabianski is a much better keeper since leaving Arsenal. Obviously, he was good at Swansea too. That's really good competition for the number one position there. I wouldn't be surprised if he was to get it, but also as well, because they're in Europe, this gives them great flexibility.
Yeah. For me, I think that's the type of signing Arsenal probably should have done instead of Ramsdale, because I think he would have been great in that Arsenal team. But
I think it's a loan, but as you said, that would have been much more sensible because he had some performances for Fulham last season that they would have gone down a lot earlier if it wasn't for some of his in goal.
Yeah, definitely. A couple of outgoings that was a bit of a surprise. So Felipe Anderson, big signing for them not so long, like a few years ago.
He did well when he first come there, but fell out of favour. But obviously, then Finn wasn't the manager then, was he? So Moyes come in, obviously didn't really fancy him, was on loan at Porto last season. Fan of his. And actually, when they got him from that show, I wanted Liverpool to get him. I'm a big fan of Felipe Anderson. But yeah, back to that show.
He's definitely a baller.
This is really gonna test them this season, though. You know, it's really gonna test them.
Yeah, because it's the first time they've got European football. So, how do you see their season panning out?
Yeah, first since the 16 to 17, either 15 or 16 or 16 to 17, they were in Europe. But so for under Moyes here, I've got them as it stands. I've actually got them 9th. Because I've got 8th, and that's only because, and that's why I said that these things will easily change. That's because I think the figures of Europe, because their talisman at the moment is Mikel Antonio, who, like our central defenders, is injury prone. So if they had got Patson Daka, that would have done a lot from where I picked them to be finishing, because they were the initial team that were interested in him before even there was any talk of Liverpool, Leicester. So firepower up top again. If they can somehow get Jesse Lingard back, that will change things as well. Then they would go from me from 9th to 7th. But at the moment, I've got them 9th because of Europe. I actually think they're going to do quite well in Europe. But that could change depending on the business they do for the remainder of the window. But I've currently got them 9th,
Yeah, I've got them 10th, so not too far apart there. So we're on to the last team, which is Wolverhampton. So finished 13th last year with 45 points. A few new signings. So we've got Jose Sarr, Nuri, who's been made into a permanent signing, Mosquera, Molden, and Trincao that they've signed from Barcelona. And Rui Patricio has signed for AS Roma for Jose Mourinho there.
Huge blow. I do Patricio because Jose Sarr, if you remember, was Porto's goalkeeper when we slapped Porto 5-0 a few years ago. He's too erratic for me. He's too random. So for me, just for the keeper issues there, I'm worried about Wolves. I'm really worried because Jimenez is back, but we don't know, obviously with the head injury, we don't know how quickly it's going to take for him with head, because he's going to wear the
headgear, isn't it? Yeah.
The protection. I do not know whether or not, because when something's wrong with your body, every time you move, you're thinking about it.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how quickly he's going to be able to get back to anywhere near how good he was before. Because when you look at the issue that he had, and it started last season, the two main people that have scored goals for them since they've been in the Premier League are Jimenez and Jota. We signed Jota. Jimenez got the head injury against Arsenal, so then therefore the goals dried up. Fabio Silva looks like he could be quite a good player, but he's still very raw. He's a teenager. Trincao, young as well, went to Barca, barely played. So I again don't know where the goals are going to come from. But for some reason, they're not as tight as the back that they are at the back as they were. And their manager they've got in now, I don't know too much about him, so I cannot sit here and be very optimistic about them right now. So.
Yeah, no, I that's some valid points there. I feel like I've been a bit generous in terms of my prediction. I've got them 12th.
High. I've got them 15th.
Okay.
Southampton, I've got them 15th.
Yeah. I think I put it on the basis of Jimenez because I do get. I think there shouldn't be too much huge pressure on him, but I feel like once he gets into the flow, I think he will get the goals. Podence for me was a top player last season, so he's still there. Neto, I'm not sure how long his injury is, but obviously he'll be back later on this year.
Hey, if we were to get a wide man, that's another player that I wanted at Liverpool. I said if we're going to go for a lefty, either Pereira, who's unfortunately gone to an Asian team, Pereira from West Brom. I wanted Neto, or I wanted Rafinha, if we were going to get a lefty, you know what I'm saying? But we're never fit. That's the only reason. Sorry, Wolves fans, but him coming back, he's the shining light for me. He's the only reason why I've not been hovering right there.
Yeah.
As to relegation, which at the moment I don't think is far-fetched unless they do more business.
No, I definitely agree with that. I think I've been a bit generous there, but
I probably don't position that were way away from each other. But all the other positions were more or 2 spots up.
I think I was thinking about Neto and Jimenez, and I'm just like kind of clouded my judgment there. But we'll leave it at that. So no, it's been a long episode. So thank you for everyone for sticking around and tuning in. We've gone on to the next day now. So Daniel, aka Dubul Dee, thank you so much for being part of the show. Please let the people know where to follow you and let them know about your podcast as well.
Yes, I'm on there on any of the socials. I'm Dubul Dee on there. So whether that it could be Snapchat, Twitter, Insta, wherever at Dubul Dee. That's DUBULDEE, which you'll probably see on there. And then I'm part of the D&D Football Factory. And we go live on Top FM every Saturday morning at 10 a.m. Unless you're in London, it's probably easiest to catch us on the TuneIn app or the Smart Radio app. As I said, every Saturday from 10 a.m. to midday. And we also got the D&D Football Factory podcast as well. The latest one, episode 16, is on all of our top 10 favourite strikers. And that's at D&D Footy Factory on the Twitter and on the Instagram. And it's the D&D Football Factory on Footy Factory on Facebook as well, on the Facebook page.
No, guys, please make sure to follow Daniel. Obviously, Daniel's a good friend of mine, so I know he's been producing some good content over the years. So definitely one to look out for. Definitely want to follow there. Before we wrap up,
I'll plug my blog as well because the fantasy will be back as well. That's zigzags.co.uk for fantasy football stuff and Liverpool stuff too.
Yeah, brilliant stuff. And talking of fantasy football, we've got our own league as well. So if you'd like to join our FPL league, here's the code CG4602. Good luck to everyone who joins our league. Next episode, I will be doing it on Monday, 16th of August at 9 p.m. UK time. First fixture back into the season, so I'm probably be excited to talk about the football. So that's why I'll be live on a Monday straight away. But again, thank you everyone for tuning in. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to our channel. Daniel, thank you so much for tuning in and being part of the show today. And we shall see everyone very soon. Take care.